Hi, everybody. We definitely, normally, to explain, normally before we go live, we remember to set up the cameras so that everybody's in the right, like in the right box with the right name and the right art, and we forgot to do it this time. So we're back now in the correct places. Welcome to Infinite Horizon, everybody. Okay. Whew. How's everybody doing tonight?
Great.
Great, yeah, just fantastic. Um, well, uh, sure, Lucas. Listen, I'm not joking. Like, none of what I said is incorrect. Anyway, I have been teasing for quite some time, including last week, some announcements. And guess what? Right now, you're gonna be getting those announcements. So,
Woo!
Jesus. Sorry, I'm upset because my camera is once again too far that way and I forgot to put it in the right place. Never mind. Not important. Um anyway, we here at Rule of Lore are professionals.
Hump day, am I right?
Uh all right. So
Boy.
we've got some announcements. So to start with, I'll just sort of give you our professional somethings. Thank you, Geekouts. Um give you sort of our week and sort of our schedule with holidays coming up and stuff like that. Because I figured it's probably now that we actually have everything sort of settled and we know where how that's all gonna go, we can tell you about it so you know when to expect us and when not to expect us. So this week we will have Ramblemancy on Friday. This week, we have a guest. Olivia will be joining us for
Hello.
Ramblemancy.
Lucas
Uh,
has promised to bully me, so
it was a promise of mutual bullying.
Mhm.
But we will be the topic this week will be on sorry, I thought I just fucked everything up. OBS flickered in front of me. That was terrifying. The topic this week in Ramblemancy will be something that we've been sort of half joking about doing, but we actually are going to do it. We are going to be pitching terrible television shows or movies. We're just going to be pitching, making up the worst possible ideas. It's going to be chaos. It's going to be so much fun. I'm very excited. um so yeah, so that'll be what you can look forward to for Ramblemancy this week. And then next week, due to holidays and things like that, we will be dark. There will only be no Infinite Horizon next week, but there will be Ramblemancy. We're having another guest that week, and that's why we're having Ramblemancy, because the only time we could get our guest to like schedules to line up. But we'll be having Ancient Albatross or Al from Cypher Unlimited. He'll be coming to talk with us about video games, video gaming, streaming, and just gaming stuff in general. So that'll be really fun. We're determined to have the full collection of Cypher Unlimited guys.
Gotta collect them all.
Gotta collect them all, yeah. So that'll be next week. So no Infinite Horizon, but we will have Ramblemancy. Um, and then we'll be back the following week with our normal schedule. Um, so here's the big announcement is that some of you, those of you who are in our Discord, may have noticed some new faces with the cast role. And that is because we are tonight announcing a new show coming to Rule of Lore. Um, technically, the campaign doesn't actually start until January, but we'll have some like prequel prologue episodes for you guys to get to know some of the characters and the cast ahead of the break. But yes, we're gonna have a D&D show, uh, going
Hell
back to
yeah.
the early days of Rule of Lore, bringing some D&D back to the channel. Brand new cast, never before seen on Rule of Lore. Um, and so um, yeah, so that will be happening starting like the prequels will be starting in early December. And then the actual campaign proper will start in January after we come back from our break. Um, so yeah, very excited. So tonight we're just announcing that it is happening. We'll have more details sort of rolling out as we have things more prepared. We're gonna have a cast announcement. I don't have the dates memorized as to when these things happen. I think it's, I don't know. I'm not gonna guess. We'll have announcements later on.
I know we knew at one point.
We
Don't
did know
know.
at one point.
I don't remember.
And
You'll
now
know when you
it's
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that soonish TM, yes, exactly, Geekouts. So, but yeah, one of the details that I will give right now is that it is a brand new cast. It is an all LGBTQ plus cast, which I'm very excited about. So it's gonna be very fun. I've met them all and I've spoken with all of them, and I think y'all are gonna fall in love. So, um, oh, yes, Gemini. Thank you for reminding me. The show will actually take place on Tuesday evenings, so it'll be the night before Infinite Horizon. Um, so yeah, it'll oh, not evening actually. Technically, it'll be at the times I believe are 3:30 Pacific time, 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. So it'll be a little earlier than our usual stuff, but yeah. So yeah, that kind of is like one of the big announcements that we've had cooking up for the last few weeks. So be looking out for new stuff coming out about that soon, as time goes on. I feel like there was another thing that I was going to say. Oh, schedule. So just so that everybody is aware, we are going to be going dark for a couple of weeks in December, giving everybody it's still a ways off, but giving everybody a heads up now that we will be going dark starting the week of the 20th. And we will be back on the week of January 3rd. So we'll start back up with Infinite Horizon on the 6th, and that's when we'll be coming back. So just so y'all are aware. So, and we'll remind you as the weeks continue. So don't worry about that. Okay. I feel like that was that was a lot. We had a lot to talk about today. We had schedule stuff and new shows and all that. So yeah, we will be rolling out the character art after we announce the cast and stuff like that for them. So I'm very excited. So this will all be coming very soon. You'll know more very soon. All right. Unless there's anything else, I don't think there's anything else. Okay. Well then, I think with that, we will jump into tonight's episode of Infinite Horizon.
Some will say this is the end. We're surrounded, but we won't give in. No. Who will save us? Who will save us? Sometimes you gotta let go. Leave it up to the hero. Who will save us? Who will save us? When the truth's in the shadows. All hail to the heroes. They're gonna save us. Yeah, save us. Yeah, save us today.
Welcome back.
Not quite. Oh,
Hold on. There we go. Hello, everybody. I transitioned us back to the intro. We're on top of things tonight. This is a chaos stream, everybody.
All good
I think the moral of the story is I should be less prepared, because when I am the most prepared, everything falls to shit like immediately.
There you go.
So-
That's the lesson to take.
Yeah, I think that's the lesson here. Anyway, oh no, when you hear yeah, perfect, exactly. All right. Previously on Infinite Horizon. So it has been 5 months since the end of last season. More specifically now, 5 months and like a week, give or take. And in that time, we caught up with our favorite characters from last season, with some time spent with Bina and Peach and Mason. 1 second, let me switch over to this. Okay. um, in that time, uh, in our a short time back, we've come back to some rather different characters. We've come back to a Peach who has been stepping into her role as leader of the resistance, Mason who has been taking up various responsibilities and learning to do a job that is very different from what he had previously known, and Bina who was still wrestling with the loss of their crewmate and ship from the previous season. Um, Through all of this, however, there have been we've seen our crew scattered and sort of pursuing their own business as it pertains to getting the resistance back on track or on track. As within all of this, in addition to everybody's personal struggles, there's also the backdrop of the resistance, the cells that Wire had been coordinating for years, for the first time ever coming together in a unified resistance, and all the tensions that brings. In particular, last time, coming to a head with a direct confrontation between Peach and the head of the resistance military, one General Karen Antos, who expressed his lack of faith in Peach's ability to do what was necessary to lead the resistance. Um, Within that, Peach trapping him trapping him is a strong word, transporting him to a dream sequence to show him exactly what what she knows the corporations to be capable of and why she's fighting, sort of turned against her and backfired as Peach found herself unable to remove herself or the general from the dream momentarily, both of them in momentary danger um, before being pulled out. Um, Meanwhile, Bina befriended to some degree, or at least bonded with Peach's reformed brother Vix, once known only as the Power Mimic, who had chased them all across space in the previous season. Um, the two of them sort of bonded over their mutual feelings of sort of of being an outsider, and one by nature of his past and the other by nature of her emotional state. Um, and we had some good wholesome moments that came out of it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Mason has been tasked with training of the new recruits, the supers, the fledgling supers who were rescued at the end of last season, um, and has been working with Zaya to try to put those things, some those things in motion, the training and all that stuff. So that brings us to today. Um, it's been maybe 2 or 3 days since Jade solved the problem of the various malfunctions that have been taking place over the base, discovering that they had been the result of running the emergency drones far beyond their capacity or their original intended capacity, which was causing certain areas to be sort of neglected as it pertains to maintenance. Um, Over the last couple of days, the whole crew has been working together to find a solution to that. Mainly recalling drones that were kind of out in the field, bringing them back, giving them some time to essentially drone naps. And then Jade has been working with Wire to help to upgrade their software to make them a little bit more apt to working over long periods of time, given how understaffed the resistance still very much is. Um, During all of that time, let's see. We'll say Bina. What has Bina been up to during that time?
Working.
Yeah.
Just, yeah. Now she has, I mean, she has her big problem, which I'm sure she's probably been splitting time between I'll say she has actively been splitting time between what she can do with her big problem with the why can't I remember the name of the thing? The water
The drill
ice.
annex.
Yeah, the drill annex. And is actively trying to help during daytime hours on the newest problem resolution with the bots. A little bit, not a lot, but like a little bit. But she's been splitting her time between those two jobs probably.
Okay. And how about Peach? What are some things that Peach has been doing over the last couple of days since the events of last session?
Probably just kind of trying to kind of doing her daily duties, of course, kind of checking up on the status of a lot of different kind of moving parts. Also, at some point, I probably would have actually gone to Abriel and kind of gotten her to just do a general like wellness check kind of situation. That would have happened at some point along the road. And yeah, that's basically it. I think all that would have really gone on.
All right. And what about Mason? What's Mason been up to during these last couple of days?
A little bit of everything. Okay, so mostly probably training the new recruits. Probably going a few rounds around the track with Zaya, showing off how fast he can run.
Cool.
His usual jobs, which is a little bit of everything, it seems, but training recruits, and when he has time to relax, he's probably exploring parts of the this facility that are maybe a little under constructed and probably a little more abandoned, and just kind of exploring and looking and kind of seeing what needs tweaking later on, but not putting it in the forefront too much, just usually using it as a means to kind of leave his office, because now he's too popular there, and going to a new place that he can go and hide away for just a little bit.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, so I think tonight, given that, we'll start the scene off with this will be the beginning part of this episode will be a little bit sort of montaging some of these last couple of days. So we'll start with Peach as you make your way down. We'll say probably it's the same day that we left off. Basically, once logistics are drawn up for solving the drone problem, you quickly realize that you are useless in this situation.
Yeah.
And so you kind of excuse yourself and start making your way down to medbay. As you make your way down there, you walk up to the door, which kind of open, and you step inside, and it's actually mostly deserted, which is a nice thing to see. Those personnel who had been rescued from the avalanched drill annex, most of them have been sent back to their duties. Very few of them with like superficial injuries, on if any, on most of them. There's one person that from there that it still seems mostly fine, but having recovered pretty well, but is just sort of being kept on bed rest here in medbay. Other than that, as you step in, you can see Abriel, the Anzalonian doctor, sitting at one of the examination tables with Zaya, actually, who is sitting on there. Abriel turns and looks at you. She says, "Good. I was expecting you. I'll be with you in a second." And she turns to and yelling.
Sorry, did you hear that?
Yeah,
that was downstairs.
Okay,
my
just
bad.
making sure. I was like, "Wait,
Sorry.
was that coming from here?" And okay,
It's the base. It's rowdy. It's rowdy.
Yeah,
and
no,
the
like there's
ball is down the way.
It's all those darn kids. So yeah, you you see as Abriel finishes basically what appears to be just sort of a general checkup with Zaya, and she says, "All right, just gonna need a minute while this while these tests come in, you should be fine. I just want to make sure. Zaya nods, says, "Yeah, no, take your time, Doc." She kind of like glances around, looks at you, Peach, and gives you just sort of a mischievous grin, and then looks at Abriel and says, "So, Doc, I saw you. I saw you talking to that the what's his name, the engineer, and it." Abriel just sort of like doesn't move her head, just sort of eyes go up and then go back down to her sheet, and Zaya just shrugs and says, "So what'd he have to say?" And Abriel says, he was he was asking about treatment for superficial burn scarring, and she's uh and Zaya goes, mm-hmm, sure, and did he offer to get you anything for your medical advice? Maybe a nice candlelit dinner? And Abriel just sort of looks over and looks back, says, "Test results are clear. You're free to go." And Zaya says, "Oh, come on, Doc. You got to give me something." She says, "You're excused, Captain." And Zaya like pushes herself off the bench and just says, "Well, whenever you want to talk, you know where to find me." And just sort of walks. And as she's walking past you out of medbay, she just gives you a wink, Peach, and then
Yeah,
just
I wink back. Like
and
I'm kind of lean in, like kind of so that Abriel can't hear, and just tell me if you learn anything.
she goes, "Oh, I already have Revorza looking into it," and just like keeps walking.
Uh,
Abriel looks over at you and says, "Why don't you come and have a seat?"
All right. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and sit down. I think at this point, Peach definitely looks pretty weary if this is still just like a couple hours later. So yeah, she's probably looking a little rough, kind of pale, some bags under the eyes.
Yeah. Zaya, or not Zaya, Abriel immediately goes about like just sort of like standard, like shining a light in your eye, just sort of
Be
doing
gentle.
general checkup stuff. She goes, "Always am." And she just like sort of looking, she says, "Follow my finger." And she just, starts running through tests and says, "So I've, rumor is you're not getting a whole lot of sleep these days." Or something like that.
I'm getting sleep. It's just not always a restful sleep.
And she puts down the light and she says, "Turn your head to the side." And she just sort of, and says, "So what's been happening? Is it related to your powers?"
I think so. My powers have been mostly under control, and then there's been moments where they're not in my control.
She nods and says, "All right," and she says, let me have a finger." And she just sort of like takes a device and just sort of takes a quick like little sample, like blood sample, and then starts running it through tests. And she doesn't say anything for a second as she sets up the test to running and turns back to you. And she says, "Been experiencing any headaches, dizziness, any vertigo or anything like that?"
No, nothing out of the ordinary.
Well, that's good. I know you're you had some serious exposure to that artifact, but back on Sulan. So
Do you think that could be related?
I don't know yet. We really haven't been able to learn much. I've been comparing notes with the professor, but I don't know. He's been for the last week or so. He's been on duty in the it's been his shift in the observation platform up in orbit. So haven't had a chance to do much lately with his notes. She kind of leans back against the table and glances at the readout on the test. Turns back and says, been feeling anything else? Anything else that, I mean, not to worry you, but nothing else that might indicate, for lack of a better term, warped symptoms?
When you saw the general earlier, right? We sent him down here.
I saw him. He looked fine, just shaken.
Okay. Well, we had a little bit of a disagreement. Nothing that won't be handled, but I tried to demonstrate to him something using my powers, and the warped were there, but I didn't bring them there. They were just in there in the dreamscape, and I couldn't make them go away. And I couldn't pull out of the dream. It was like nothing I've ever seen.
Huh. So you lost control of one of your own manifestations. That's
Yeah.
interesting. She says, well, every part of everything that every one of you is entirely unprecedented, so I can't exactly say. I did warn you months ago that your powers could be changing and growing in ways that we can't predict, but I don't know, this doesn't really sound like what I expected.
Yeah. Can you think of any ways that I can prevent it from happening again?
It's hard to say. Without knowing the exact cause, it could be anything that we do might help, or it might make it worse.
Abriel, there is one more thing that I should probably tell you. I sometimes visit the artifact.
What do you mean, visit?
Well, I've been trying to figure out how to tap into the power that I used months ago to see if I could access it again. I thought it would be a great kind of failsafe for the resistance if we ever needed a last minute escape or but I haven't been able to really crack it.
Well, I can't say that I fault your motivations or your reasoning, but your methods are a little bit batshit crazy. I mean, to use a technical medical term. I'm not gonna bother trying to convince you not to do that, because I know that that is pointless, but I mean, if you're looking for cause, I can't think of a better one than that.
Yeah. That's what I was afraid of.
Best I can say is, well, I mean, how often do you go?
Maybe once a week. I think I don't always intend to go there, but I just end up there. Like I don't know if it's because I want to know what it does or if it's drawing me there like a moth to a flame, but
Well, I'll say this, and you hear like a sort of soft beeping from the test. And she picks it up and reads the results. Says, according to everything, according to my examination, you're the picture of health. So what I will tell you, what I will tell you is, maybe for a little while, if you find yourself outside the test chamber, maybe give it a pass for a while. See if maybe things go back to normal.
Thank you for your professional medical opinion. I assume doctor-patient confidentiality applies.
Unfortunately, yes, it does.
Okay.
And she says, well, Uh, anything else you want to talk about?
I mean, Zai already grilled you, so, what more can I ask?
I'll see you later.
And I'm gonna go ahead and just is the patient like that's still in here? Are they asleep or what?
He's actually reading. He's kind of sitting upright, just sort of reading.
Okay. Did he hear that whole conversation?
No, he's definitely behind. Like, so basically, the way that the med bay is set up is, it's not intended to be sort of like a full patient ward. It's just sort of intended to. So basically, the way that it's set up is it's kind of an open plan, but there are like sort of dividers that can be moved around, but they are sound canceling. So like the technology within them allows them to sort of erect a kind of sound canceling field, so as to give a little bit more privacy. They can turn opaque to sort of. So yeah, so no is the answer to your question, because you would have been in your sort of your own little like cubicle that was contained. So
Okay.
yeah.
Seeing that his light is off and he's like kind of struggling to read, I'm gonna turn the light on for him.
Okay.
And then I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of like nod, like wave hello, and then walk out.
Yeah, he looks up and goes back to reading. We're gonna go ahead and cut to Mason.
Glad we learned that very obvious fact.
Hey, listen, sometimes you gotta get a professional medical opinion, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need a medical professional to call you batshit.
Yeah.
So we'll cut to Mason. Mason, you are at the moment. So we'll say that this is like not the same day. This will be like a couple of days later. You are it's, I would say, like the second day of your beginning training. And you currently are standing next to Zaya in the track section of the gym, watching the group of 30 or so fledgling supers just running laps. Some of them better at it than others. And you can see lagging far behind everybody is Mr. the Inevitable. And Zaya's just got her arms crossed and is just standing next to you, just watching. She goes, "This might be harder than I thought."
It's absolutely going to be harder than you thought, or I thought as well.
She goes, "I mean, some of these guys. I mean," she nods over to where you can see leading the pack is making good time and barely breaking a sweat is Bowen Eastman, who is young human man, probably in his like early 20s, straight dark hair, which has only gotten kind of shaggier and longer in the last few months, just fully leading the pack by like he's actually closer to the Inevitable coming back around than he is to like the rest of she's just sort of getting ready to lap everybody. Zaya says, "I mean, some of them athletically are great, but
Yeah, well, athletics is one thing, but
yeah,
you gotta look into the backgrounds of some of these kids and some of these folks.
we might need to take a more varied approach to training. I don't think one size fits all is going to do us any good here."
No, I mean, that wouldn't have worked for us. We were thrust into things so quickly.
She
We all
looks
kind
over.
of just had to pick up things as we went.
Yeah, she's like, "If you want, I could just start shooting at him and see what happens."
Oh, hold that thought. I'm just gonna walk up and just kind of like blow a whistle.
Okay. Yeah, you do, and everybody stops. Bowen just sort of like looks around, like slowly comes to like to a stop. The Inevitable just sort of stops and immediately just sort of drops onto the ground.
All right, everyone, just take 5. Water, hydrate.
um, uh, you see Bowen turns and kind of just sort of lightly jogs up to the two of you. He says, "This is good." He says, "Are we gonna do more of this? We're gonna do more of this, right?"
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna look into the different kinds of training.
He says, "All right,
Um,
it's great. I can go all day."
all right, well, yeah. You can keep going if you like.
He kind of looks over and says, shrugs and just turns and starts running.
I just
you-
look to Zaya and I'm like,
Yeah.
I really, really hate that kid.
Zaya says, "Shooting's still on the table."
You might be right.
You see as he runs, he goes back to the track. He passes by Solar, who has her hair like fully like done up in just sort of like a tight bun, and is basically just in like workout clothes. Sort of like watches him go, and just like kind of gives him this look, and he just sort of runs past, like turning towards like, and just keeps running. Uh, uh, just sort of watching them. You can see that um, even even without having been doing any of like the training over the course of the last 5 months, one thing that's become very clear to you is that, like, just in watching them over the last couple of days, is that they all seem to have actually kind of stuck together and developed sort of a rapport during these last few months. And it makes sense considering, given that they've all kind of been in the same boat, waking up very suddenly, being told that that they had powers now and were basically the subject of unknown experimentation by the corporations, has a way of making you reach for the people in the most similar situation, and you can see sort of the results of that bonding. Almost as if she's reading your mind, Zaya just sort of says, "Hey, I mean, at least we've got group dynamics down."
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the regulators.
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, there's less lashing here, but
Yeah,
that's
I
why
mean,
that's why you're here, right?
she says, "Eh, we'll see." She
All
says,
right.
"Might not be a bad idea though. Might be able to take some of the not the lashing, but the
Mm-hmm.
regulator training. I mean, taking some of their field exercises and adapting them. I mean, we're in a pretty harsh climate right now. Might as well use it."
Huh.
Thinking
Well,
maybe an expedition or two.
hmm. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, if we throw enough things at the wall, something will stick, right? That I think will be a good try. We should try that.
yeah. Zaya just sort of looks over where you see, as the two of you look over, you see where one of the newbies, a member of the avian species, the Skoru, you know him as Kiat, is sort of walking towards towards like where there are like essentially water fountains, and as he's walking, not very clearly exhausted, not paying attention, you see it right before it happens as Bowen runs right smack into him, and the two of them go tumbling to the ground, and you hear Bowen going, "What the hell? Watch where you're going," and says, he looks over at him and says, "Watch where you're going. You're the one who's been," and they like start getting into it, and you can see as they're like getting up, they're just like in each other's faces. You see Solar rushes over and starts kind of like getting between them, trying to like calm them down. And then you watch as you watch as Bowen just full hand plants in the middle of his chest and pushes him. And he kind of stumbles a couple of steps back. And as he does that, you see Kiat just sort of slows himself, kind of steadies himself, and then comes back with the exact perfect mirrored movement that Bowen just did, and just slams him right in the chest, and Bowen just like goes pedaling backwards. And as he does, he like sometimes like you watch his face just start elongating as he starts like transforming. You see as like hair begins sprouting and his muscles begin bulging at the top of his torso. Zaya says, "All right," and she just rolls her shoulders and just sort of kind of like casually walks up to him. And just as he's about to, like, now that he's fully transformed into his sort of canine hybrid form, reaching for Kiat, who is like eyes wide, kind of backpedaling, Zaya just steps up to him and just sort of just very gently plants her palm in, like, just sort of like as he steps forward, and he fully rebounds. You see a flash of blue light, and he rebounds off of Zaya. Um, and she says, I think that's probably enough for one day. Everybody hit the showers. Um, and she looks at Bowen, who's like in a heap, basically fell into a heap on the ground and starts pulling himself up. And you see he very slowly starts reverting back to himself. And he goes, "Yeah, whatever." And he just like turns and just walks towards in the direction of the showers. And Zaya just sort of stands there and watches them all go one by one, and then turns back to you and just,
Yeah, I just kind of walk up. That one's going to be a problem.
yeah.
I think the regulator training might be suitable. It definitely changed me at a young age.
I have an idea, but I think I need some time to plan it.
Let me know if you need any bounce off some ideas or anything, or
Yeah.
just someone to drink with while you do it.
Yeah, that one. I'll let you know. I'll get back to you this evening.
All right.
And she looks over and sees the inevitable still just sort of sprawled out, kind of spread eagled on the ground. And she walks over to him and says, you know the showers are that way, right?" He goes, yes, ma'am, I am aware. I am taking a moment to collect myself." She says, "Suit yourself, kid." And she just keeps walking.
I'll walk up to the inevitable.
Mhm. Yeah.
Need a hand?
He looks up and says,
Or just getting a breath while you can.
"Truth be told, I am waiting until my compatriots have made their way towards the showers." He kind of looks up, kind of to see where everybody else is gone, and he just sort of reaches up and says, "Much obliged." He stands up. He says, I'm afraid to say that I am not exactly cut out for this kind of uh, exertion. My best work is done flexing this muscle rather than the others, if you take my meaning."
No, absolutely. Before any of these powers, I was never really much of a runner myself.
Well, it appears that the experimentation lottery has been rather kind to you in that respect.
But having a sharp noodle is something that we all could use a little bit more of, and Mason just kind of glares off in the direction that Bowen kind of sidled off.
He kind of follows your gaze and says, "He is out of his depth and insecure, and therefore is acting out and using that to cover."
Yeah, I know. We're going to be relooking at the training program here and trying to make it a little more adaptable for everyone involved. So
you notice as he has sort of this pensive expression. He doesn't seem to have heard a word you just said. He just kind of has a pensive expression on his face.
I kind of just look. I know I focus in on him, and I kind of start analyzing.
Yeah. He becomes aware of it and looks at you and says, "My apologies. Just it's taking some getting used to. I thought at first that perhaps you were mistaken about my it would be just like me to undergo rigorous experimentation and come out the other side being the only one without any kind of additional abilities. But I mean, lately I've been noticing some things, differences. I am a certifiable genius. I do not say this to brag. I say it to make a point. I've found myself understanding things lately that I would never have known or understood before. Knowing absolutely that they're true, not knowing how, until I start thinking about them. Just knowing that they're absolutely true. And then I start thinking about them, and I'm able to trace back the patterns. I'm able to understand things and solve equations I was never able to solve before. truth be told, it's almost a little bit disheartening. One of my favorite activities prior to all of this was setting to work against a puzzle I couldn't solve, but now there doesn't seem to be one.
Hold on. There's plenty.
Well,
I mean, you haven't come across it yet, but there's time.
perhaps. And I think, well, I think it has given me a certain amount of introspection as well that I did not have before. If you don't mind, I think I'm going to excuse myself. I have some introspecting to do.
Introspect away.
And he nods, and instead of making his way towards the showers, just makes his way towards the exit.
Mason's gonna do a couple laps himself
Mhm.
around the track.
I imagine it's just full on like Captain America, the whole like Captain America, the whole thing, just sort of.
I kind of start off slow.
Yeah. Fair
and
enough.
then I increase the speed, and then I'm.
Yep.
And then I'm gonna kind of just. Might not be able to use this coat in the future.
All right.
And just kind of walk off into a direction, I suppose.
Sounds good. All right. We'll cut quickly to Bina. Bina, you're where would you be most likely to be in the middle of a given day?
Middle of the day.
Yeah.
I think these past couple of days she's been doing like normal people morning time work where like in the main facility, and then she gets worn out and overwhelmed and exhausted by people, and then we'll go and do things that she can work on individually, so she might be out with the drill. Not
Okay.
that that's individually, but there's less people out there.
Sure. And definitely now that like most of the people who were out there clearing a lot of the ice and snow away from that had piled up against the annex. But now that most of that has been cleared, there's not that many people out here. Most of the people who are out here are like engineering teams of 2 or 3 that are just trying to like basically remove the drill itself where the most damage has been done, and trying to fix it essentially. Right.
Yeah, I think she spends her like morning to like lunchtime and in the facility, gets exhausted by people because she can't go full from nothing to 100% because I think that would just be too much.
Yeah.
And then she eats lunch probably by herself and then goes out to the drill.
Yeah.
And kind of gets a little bit reinvigorated by it because I think she keeps forgetting that this is her fun puzzle now. Like this is the fun. These are the fun problems.
Yeah.
So I think she's getting a little bit into it right now, kind of out looking through stuff by herself.
Yeah. So the biggest issue right now is that the drill is not in great shape. The actual drill itself is not in great shape, but it's still mostly workable. But the unfortunate thing is that it is going to have to be replaced, and there's nothing that you can really do about that right now.
Yeah.
So like it's all kind of tied into the issues of like supplies. That's going to be something that is going to be very difficult to get a replacement for. But in the meantime, what you've sort of busied yourself doing in the annex has basically been like taking out parts that shorted essentially, and like bits that like fused.
Basically getting it.
Yeah.
I think set up for like when we can put things in,
Right.
It's just ready to get popped right in there. So yeah, she's probably doing clearing out and like, oh, these things are bent when they're not. I don't have to replace them, so you just tap that back into shape or whatever. Like things that can be done without replacement parts.
Yeah. So right now, I would say Bina, you're currently inside fully inside some of the machinery, just sort of like tinkering, sort of probably at a very awkward angle, just sort of laying there. And you hear footsteps outside of where you are, and you see dark clothing, and then you see whoever it is crouch down and look inside, and you can see Vix's face as he looks in. He says, "Can I hand you anything?"
She looks at her belts and like tries to think about the last few things she's done without leaving, and he goes, "The green one, should be over by the farthest left console.
Sure.
The flux transformer. I think there's one or two over there.
He gets up.
She's like laying on her back.
Yeah.
Like,
He gets up. You can see as he walks away and he says, "You said the green one?"
yeah.
Okay.
Wait, it might be like that. Might be the blue one. Might be over there. The green one might be back in my room. It's blue if it's over there.
Oh, there it is. He grabs it. He comes back over, hands it back to you, and as he does, you see that it's just sort of faintly glowing as he hands it to you, and he just sort of
She kind of looks at it. And
he gives her
she
sort
doesn't
of
say anything, but she laughs.
yeah. He just gives sort of like a lopsided grin, just sort of as he hands it to you, and just sort of sits back on the ground.
That has been useful, at least.
Mhm.
I did it on accident all the time when I first got it.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say it was very difficult to sleep the first few nights because, and he makes his hands glow and he says, hard to sleep when you can't turn out the lights.
She's using two and pops up two,
Mhm.
two of hers and makes all four of them glow. She goes, I know.
He
I
says,
got twice as many.
yeah. He said, yeah, that's fair. He says, so, I mean, how bad's it look?
I mean, some spots are kind of gnarly, but we can't do much without a new shipment. We just need parts.
Yeah, I've been
It's
thinking.
fixable. It's just me trying to get crafty right now with stuff that I know I can't really fix, but sometimes I can, and so I keep working on it. And she kind of looks up at stuff. She's like, this one right here, I thought we were going to have to replace it, and then I found a couple of parts, and I bypassed it. So
Wait, you
I can't do that
bypassed
with
it?
all of it. I bypassed it. I can't do that with all of it, but every once in a while I find something. And so that's nice and a fun thing to spend time on. But not all of it. Very, very little of it I can do that with.
Yeah. Well, I've actually been thinking about the supply problem. I mean, I don't have any solutions, but I just, I mean, I don't really have much of an idea of what's going on these days. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's mostly because I try not to, but I haven't been really leaving my room a whole lot, but from what I've been able to gather, it seems like other than the advanced teams that are out there, nobody's really leaving or doing anything.
Yeah, pretty stagnant. All effort is pretty much getting put into getting this place set up.
Yeah, and I get that. I know why that's important, but I mean, at a certain point, I don't know. I feel like not much can be accomplished with everybody just here. I mean, I know everybody's trying to be safe and stay hidden and secret from the corpse, but I mean, one way or another, they're going to find us. It's just a matter of time, and I mean, at least we can be prepared until then.
I think we're waiting on some info from Venus to like rack her memory of the last time she actually paid attention at a meeting. Maybe Becker? He's an information guy. It makes sense that we're waiting for information from him. Probably. There's someone. There's something. I was told things about stuff, and it's happening.
Well, it's good to know there's stuff going on.
Ah, of course. Caitlin remembers these things.
Yeah.
Vina has no recollection of most meetings that have happened within the past few weeks.
Yeah. He kind of leans back against against like the railing that's nearby, and just sort of falls into what has become, kind of over the last couple of days, like a comfortable silence. Interestingly, Bina, it feels oddly familiar to you, because while Vix does not have the facility with his empathic stuff, you find that you actually find him kind of instinctively reacting to you,
Good.
almost the way that another Orzai might.
Orzai would. I don't know if we've talked about this before on stream, but Orzai have there's like another level of nonverbal communication with Orzai. Like if you're with us, with people, like facial expressions, you can have a conversation with someone in facial expressions or like motions. There's another level of that with Orzai in which you can kind of, they're indicators emotionally, and you can kind of have like react to each other in small ways, and so that's very excited. I was going to ask if that had started happening yet between them.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, cuties.
um as you're there, you spend another like several minutes just sort of working in silence. And but after I'd say probably like 10 minutes or so,
Mhm.
there's like the communications beep from your terminal.
She kind of has to like move some tools, and
Yeah.
she's taking her terminal off because it gets in the way, and she has to like find it in all of her stuff while she's on her back. And she goes, "Hello,
Uh she says, Bina, it's Wire.
what's up?"
Uh I'm not sure. It might be faulty sensors, but I'm gonna need you, where are you right now?
The annex.
I'm gonna need you to get back as soon as possible. I'm getting some weird sensor readings.
Can you forward some of them to my terminal? I'll look at them on the way.
Sure. Sending them now.
Okay, we'll be back soon.
Mhm.
And
Vix is already
she's not
standing.
doing anything important right now,
Yeah.
so we're gonna go.
Vix is already standing when you finish. She says, "Well, this
She
sounds
slides
exciting."
out. I guess so. And she'll roll up,
Mhm.
and we'll put her tool belt back together and her bag, and
Okay.
they'll head back, and she'll start looking at any, if anything, I don't know, looks like it's something that she can read.
Right. So basically, what you start seeing is a lot of. It's not so much like readings that the sensors are giving that are strange. It's
Mhm.
more like the sensors are. What it looks to you is like the sensors are being disrupted and then perfectly fine, and not
Ah.
registering the disruption. Like
Mm.
like normally when there's some sort of like disruption, they'll send like a distress pulse that is like intended to be like, it's like the low battery light, right? The check engine
Yeah.
light kind of thing, right?
Like,
Like
hey, help.
that comes on.
Yeah.
This isn't doing that. It's having
Mm.
it's just sort of intermittent like pauses in the sensors, in the sensor. And the weird thing about it is that it's not the perimeter sensors, it's the internal base sensors.
Hmm.
Um
And I've never seen anything like this before.
Not here, no. The
Okay.
only time you've ever seen something like this is like on like any like junker you might have served on,
Mm.
that has frankly not been taking the best care of their wiring.
Bina got there late, and it was like she wasn't staying long enough to do it overall.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the Bina touch.
Yeah, exactly. So like this is looks like that, but with none of the warning indicators that come with it.
Okay. Yeah, if we're like in the vehicle, she probably made Vix drive so she could look at all
Mhm.
of the stuff as they're going. She's probably just like rambling
Yeah.
all of the everything basically you just said. And I was like, I mean, like the facility is kind of a junker, I guess, but it could be that, but it could be worse. So hopefully
Yeah.
we can figure it out.
Well, he says, "How fast does this thing go?" And that's where we're gonna
And
cut.
she kind of grins a little bit, and we go.
Yeah, that's where we'll cut back to base a few minutes later as you make your way back. At this point, you make your way into ops, where the rest of you are gathered now, having also been alerted by Wire. So essentially, when Wire messaged you, Bina, this was just sort of a like weird technical thing that was while not dire, was interfering with operations,
Mhm.
but now it seems like it's happening much more frequently, and the out times are like, it's like the base is browning out essentially. Like
Yeah.
they're like, and when you get back, it's not just the sensors, but you actually see lights sort of just flickering and stuff.
Don't like that.
So for that reason is now why the rest of you have kind of been called to ops, because this is now kind of like
Mhm.
emergency situation. And Bina, as you make your way in where everybody else is, Jade is in the process of saying, I mean, it can't be generator failure. We have 4 backups. He says, if there was something wrong with the generator, we would know. And not only that, but we have backup power storage capacitors. So I don't know. It's not a problem with power.
Bina's
Mason,
walking in and like closing her term that she's been looking at all of the stuff that's been fed to her, and she's just like, I don't think it's anything to do with the bot reset either. I don't think that would be causing this type of problem. Those were all small blips. This isn't this is facility wide. And she comes up to the terminal
yeah,
with everyone as she walks in.
Tan Brewer is there as well, and he just sort of has his arms crossed. Besides, we were very careful about creating a shutdown plan for the drones that wouldn't put additional strain on the base's systems, so it shouldn't be that either. 'Cause honestly, I'm not sure that it's anything. I don't know. All systems are reporting green in all sectors, so I'm not really sure what's. At this moment, everything is cut off as very suddenly there's like a base alarm that just goes a couple of times, and Wire looks up and goes, "Kodak, what's happening?" And you just you hear,
I am unsure, but it's very exciting.
So unhelpful. Mason, could this be one of your recruits' powers?
If it is, it's very brand new. But I don't think so. I'm gonna check sensors. How are things looking outside?
outside, it's right now everything is like fully offline. And then Wire says, "Could you be more specific, Kodak?"
Yes, there is some kind of temporal gravimetric anomaly.
Wire says, "A what?" She says, "Where's it localized?"
It's localizing in the loading bay.
That's
gotta
not
go.
a good sign.
Mason starts making his way.
Yeah, we go.
Yeah,
Where
we
will
all
we
go.
go?
We're all going.
Wire indicates to one of the people at a console, and she says, "Send a team." And you all rush down to.
We've seen this happen before, but
Yeah, you all rush down to the loading bay. Or not the loading bay, but the loading level, basically, like what that sort of wide open level that sort of runs through the center of the base, that is mostly used for transporting cargo from place to place. When you get there, you see a sort of, not a large crowd, but like people have sort of stopped what they're doing and kind of like gathering around, where you see like a spatial distortion taking place, like taking shape in the center of the room.
He never calls first.
As soon as you say that, you watch as that spatial distortion suddenly like collapses in on itself and expands back outward in like a perfectly rectangular opening. And as it opens, you see where you see two figures kind of backlit by the light of this bizarre portal that has just opened up, sort of dressed in full like kind of environmental kind of containment suits, and they both step out, and it just sort of the portal just sort of closes behind them, and we'll go ahead and Drac, welcome.
yeah.
You would not believe how long it took me to get here.
The other figure removes their helmet, and you see an Orzai who kind of like looks around, and she goes, and you see she just looks around, she goes, "Oh my stars, look at this tech, and she runs right past all of you and starts just like picking up like just technology that people are, and like looking and examining. You watch as she moves up towards one of the engineers who has like equipment in their hands. You watch as suddenly she just sort of splits in half, and there's two of her who now that like sort of swarm this very startled engineer, and they're just like the two of them just sort of are now sort of looking at this tech and examining it from different angles.
Ada, can you? They just arrived. Don't touch that.
They both look over. Just
Taeyeon.
oh, sorry, simultaneously, and then just sort of come back together into one person and step over.
I'm a hug.
Very.
like Peach has you in a hug.
Oh, okay, yeah. Bring it in. And Taryn just hugs
Do you
her
have
right
something?
back.
And as I'm kind of hugging you, I've said, "Nice to see you. Do you have more terrible news for us?"
Oh boy, I do keep coming with terrible news, don't I? It's not great news, but
To be
let's
expected.
not. Yeah, let's not talk about that for now. I missed you guys. I just look at Mason and being like, group hug.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Mason goes in.
group hug, and you Bina, you feel like a set of arms around you, and you look over and you see the other Orzais. There's just, hi, Ada Spriggs.
Mason.
She says, and then she steps back and looks around. She says, I love what you've done with this place. It's so retro.
I mean, technically, we're still doing with the place. It's
Oh,
pretty new.
oh, you're not done. Oh,
Mhm.
you see it as she sort
But
of,
I want to know what am I feeling about? I haven't hung out with an Orzine
yeah,
in a long
you're
time.
feeling a mixture of excitement, nerves, and just general like curiosity about everything.
She's got surprise, confusion, a little bit of delight, and then also she probably also feels it's very strange because Bina has the expanded powers but also the dampening.
Mhm.
So whatever she gets out of that.
Yeah. She seems to be not tuned in at all. Like just sort of like
No.
eyes everywhere, just looking around.
Just as far as having another Orzai here,
Yeah.
that is.
Drac, remind me. Ada has 2 arms and wings.
2 arms and wings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you actually watch as sort of her wings sort of almost dragonfly like extend behind her and sort of flutter excitedly as she just sort of looks around.
She's so cute. I love her.
That's adorable.
And
Kind of like Taeyeon just kind of like gestures to Ada, like, that's my girlfriend.
she looks around. At this point, you all become very aware of like all the people that are still crowded around, just like staring.
So sorry for crashing the party. I didn't know how to call first.
You see, Brewer kind of shoves his way forward and he says, "All right, everybody, you've seen it. Get back to work." And he kind of like gives the 2 newcomers sort of like a kind of a suspicious glance, more curious than
Just like
suspicious,
wave,
but
like
He's a friend, everybody. I'm gonna kind of announce before.
yeah. And yeah, so
Is anybody scared? Did anybody get freaked out?
oh, a
'Cause
bunch of
that's
people
kind
were
of
freaked out. Yeah, a bunch of
Oh,
people.
boy.
It's
But
then we all hugged him.
It's starting to
Yeah.
calm down now. Yeah, like
Okay, good.
it's nobody. There's no lasting.
Just wanted to make sure no one's gonna like freak out or something.
Yeah.
Like
So yeah, you all sort of begin making your way out of the middle of everything, and I'll take this opportunity to say we have a different announcement, everybody, which is that Drac is here, not as a guest, but as a permanent cast member for Infinite Horizon.
I didn't know Ada Spriggs was coming too.
I was so excited. When you said 2 figures,
that
I
was
was like,
perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
more NPCs for Lucas.
Yeah. And we get to have Drac back, and I'm so
I know.
excited.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you so
Everyone
much for
needs to
having
give
me
Drac
back.
so much love because he's been on 11 hours of streams
Ooh.
today.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I know. All right. But yes, also we're slowly making our way through updating the character art as well. So
Yep,
enjoy
we're
that.
working on it.
We're working
Getting
on it.
there.
Okay.
But
Um,
we
It has
got we
been-
got
It looks
Taeyeon
so
art. Hey,
cute.
everybody knows what Taeyeon looks like now.
all right.
I just want to point out, Caitlin showed me the whip, like the work in progress yesterday, and had everything done today. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Can't stop going today.
Incredible.
She is magic.
All right. So, we'll go ahead and say as you all make your way through back through the base, yeah, walking along, Ada is like kind of like walks right up next to Bina and like just sort of swings one of her arm through like one of your top arms and just sort of like says, Taeyeon's told me so much about all of you and how great it was to come and meet all of you, and well, I just had to come and see for myself this time, and
Happy to meet you.
yeah, you too.
Sorry, we don't have a great place to host, but I mean, you seem to think it's fun, so hey.
Oh, this is so much better than anything I was expecting. She says, I'm gonna need to look at all of your computers.
Please do. You're the programmer, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, Tan told us a lot about you.
She
Fina gets a little bit of a like, I don't know if anyone has been around to see her get excited about anything in a long time, but there's like a visible like Chagorza. Like, yeah, you gotta please look at everything.
she says, "Yeah,
There's so I think it's Wacky shows. So we have an AI named Kodak.
Oh no.
Problem one.
yeah, the two of you just start chattering back and forth. It's remarkable to all of you as you're walking that they both seem to be talking simultaneously, like just like talking to each other simultaneously. Neither one seeming to have difficulty understanding what the other is saying. So, but to the rest of you, it's almost incomprehensible.
Also, potentially most of you see Bina talking a while.
Yeah, so you make your way back up to the ops tower, where Wire is currently still seated in the situation room, with Jade, who has his back to the door as he is still kind of looking up at the screen, and he's just going, I mean, it all looks like it. I mean, there was that surge, and now it all looks normal. So I don't know.
Tan,
I'm
walk
gonna-
in. Walk in. Like
I'm
him
gonna
first.
like I'm gonna fast step, so I just appear right behind
Yeah, you watch as
right behind Jade,
y'all watch as
and I just
Taeyeon
like
just
I don't even say anything.
yeah.
I just like kind of rest my like elbow on the back of his chair, and it's like, so what episode of Nurse What are you on?
He jumps and like swivels his chair around. He says, "No way!" And he says he jumps up and just hugs you. And he goes and he like kind of pushes you away and says, "That makes so much sense. Now I understand what." And then he just pulls you back in.
I'm very sorry. I keep wreaking havoc on your senses. I don't know how to change that. This was honestly just a shot in the dark.
Yeah, no,
I was
it's
like hugging him. And
it's
patting
fine.
him.
It looks. I mean, everything looks fine now, so it's great and nothing fried. I don't think. I mean, he kind of looks over where you see like a small drone that just sort of is hovering, and he says, "Nothing fried, right?" And the drone just sort of just sort of sort of bobs up and down in place and like releases just a series of just beeps and whistles. And he goes, "Right, mostly nothing fried. We're good. It's fine."
It's fine. Oh, by the way, and I like pull him away and just look at him.
Mhm.
I need you to send one more voice note to me, just talking about today, because time stuff. But that's how I'll explain later. But just remember to do it, okay? Cool.
Wait, okay, yeah, sure, yes, okay, yeah, definitely. Should I do it now?
I don't think he did it now. Later is fine. Just remember to do it today.
Yeah, okay. He pulls up his terminal and just like starts putting in like a reminder and then just closes it. Wire's just kind of standing there and just sort of waves her mechanical arm and just says, "Welcome back."
It's good to be back. I see you all missed me.
Jade just like looks up and goes, "Yes."
Nice to have you back.
Honestly, it's like the future is my present, but I do feel kind of at home now. Back in that time. It's confusing. But I am here on not so great circumstances again. I am very, very sorry.
I just assumed, but it's still nice to
Yeah.
see you.
Wire gestures, says, "Pull up a chair. Let's hear it." And she walks over to the door, and you watch as she puts in basically like essentially puts in a lock code on the door, and then steps back over and sits down. Says, "So,
So
what's in trouble this time?"
oh boy, I'll be honest, I wish I knew for sure.
Ada just looks
Well,
at you
for
and says,
one,
"Maybe just the short version, and then explain from there."
yeah, I came back to my time. And it was pretty close. There were some differences, and that was to expect. There was nothing major. It was more like the fast food restaurant was a block further than I remember it being, stuff like that. Very frustrating when you're hungry, but other than that, it was fine. But I started noticing, well, not me, Ada, actually. started noticing anomalies.
Right. And she you actually don't see her like have she doesn't have a terminal on her or anything. Just very suddenly a holographic display just pops up out of seemingly nowhere. And she says, she looks says, "May I?" And she's already interfacing with the systems. And Wire just says, "Yeah, go ahead." And she just throws up a bunch of readings up onto the display. She says, "A bunch of these anomalies here. You can see uh weird uh temporal, or maybe even some kind of, I don't know, some kind of energy wave that crops up from time to time, uh and we don't know what it is. uh yeah,
Yeah,
oh, go ahead.
it started off small, like things that we didn't even really we thought it was just maybe calculations that people made wrong. Like for example, stars die, but we were noticing every so often a star would die a little bit earlier than we predicted. And as we kept going further back, we started noticing there were more anomalies. And the closer to our time, my present, your future, all that, the anomalies started to get bigger until it was quite literally a. Do we have? Let's look at Ada. Do we have like an image of what?
She pulls up. She says, "Maybe." She says, "I mean, it's not a good one, but it's the one. It's the only one we have right now." She pulls up an image, and at first, you're not really sure what any of you are looking at. It looks like an image of space, but there's something. As you look at it, you realize that there's something there. It almost looks like some sort of dark vine that is running through space, with sort of these spiky protrusions. Um, that are sort of vaguely glowing around or kind of around the outside. Um, and at first you think that maybe it might be some sort of bizarre like photo of some kind of weird plant that was taken in space. And then your attention is drawn to something in kind of like a small corner of the screen. And as you look closer, Jade goes, "Is that what I think it is?" And Ada nods, and the image zooms in, and um you see a capital ship that is in the midst of this much much larger than you thought it was, like uh this anomaly that has basically seemed to like wound its way through it. In some places it almost looks like it's pierced directly through the hull from one side of the ship to the other side of the ship, and cut like out the other side, like it was stabbed through almost. And you can see where it looks almost like these deep black tendrils have sort of wrapped themselves around the ship, and you can see like a trail of debris kind of that in sort of in the wake of the ship. And Ada goes, "Yeah, that's one of ours, actually."
Yeah. This was when we really noticed it, and then we traced back from here. And we started noticing that those anomalies we were seeing earlier wasn't just us miscalculating. It was this, but on a smaller scale. Every time it seems that the further back in time we go, these anomalies are smaller. So if you're going forward in time, it grows bigger and bigger and bigger. We have no idea why.
We
But
we
remember when I said like some things changed when I read back in my time? The corpse weren't as scattered as I left them.
Well, I mean, it wasn't just that though. I mean, it was a surprise to all of us, even those of us who didn't remember another timeline. Uh, it just they just came out of nowhere. I don't know where they were hiding all of those ships or all of their forces, but they just, and we think it's a little bit too much of a coincidence.
Yeah.
I-
So
We don't know what happened. We don't know what they did. We don't know what this thing is or where it came from, because it's like an energy wave of some kind that's it's not moving through space as far as we can tell. It's like a parasitic energy wave that's leeching onto time and moving through time. It's just we don't know what it is or where it came from. All we know is when it started, and the origin point is in this time.
Yeah, so with that, we figured out the when, and thanks to Jade, who's been very kindly leaving me messages. Will has been leaving me messages. Yes, that works.
Yeah.
Sorry. We were able to figure out that the when and the where of you guys. So I kind of we with some tech that we borrowed. No, we stole it from the corpse when we last kind of raided them, and just a lot of storage of some residual energy, and he kind of taps the core, where you can see the energy, I guess roiling. We kind of threw us back a few years to meet you guys and hopefully come up with a plan with you, because you're always somehow in the middle of it. I'm just gonna have to say it like it's usually are in the middle of it. So I thought might as well give you a hand and be in the middle of it with you. So I was hoping next time we meet it would be like really casual, like let's hang out. But yeah, that's kind of one of the main reasons why we arrived.
So the corpse you think have created this anomaly, or you think
I can't imagine it was on purpose, but I won't be surprised. Before
maybe a result of them playing with so many abilities and so many different parts of space.
And
Where is it?
in my original timeline, they quite literally played with time. So I won't be surprised if they tried it again and something like that happened. It might be I really don't know. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure it is the corpse. There's a correlation, but that doesn't always mean causation. That's what Ada always says anyway. I'm not entirely sure what it means, but
in your time, where is it? Is it pervasive throughout the quadrant, through the galaxy,
No.
or is it localized?
Ada, do you think you can show some of the map?
Yeah, she pulls up. You can see like a map, and she says, "Oh, is it okay that, I mean, some of these stars aren't, or some of these aren't in the same position. It's probably fine."
Can you peel it off and we can overlay it over another map, and she'll pull up another star map of
and she
our time.
yeah,
and
she
so you can
overlays
peel it out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. She says, "I mean, as far as we've been able to see, there doesn't appear to be any kind of pattern. It, like I said, it's not something that's moving through space, and therefore it could appear anywhere, because it's
not static."
No.
Hmm.
And I mean, we only just were able to. This isn't even tracking the whatever this energy is. This is just tracking the anomalies that it's left behind that we know about. We don't know how to track it or pinpoint it. At least not in our time. We can retroactively go back and look back on as to when it has appeared, but other than that, there's not really a way that we can find it.
And it doesn't exist yet here?
I calculated correctly. It shouldn't
you
exist
did.
yet. We're just before it happens. Give or take a year. Time travel, it's not exactly a science yet.
I mean, you found
Yeah,
us an
I just
accident
kinda
last
feel it.
time, so hey, a year, that's pretty good. To find something that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
I might be up to that.
Wire is sort of sitting contemplatively and is just sort of has been just sort of taking all of this in. She says, You don't think, she kind of looks at you, Peach, and says, you don't
Mhm.
think this might have something to do with the corpse making a conduit, do you?
Certainly is a little.
That seems a little too much of a coincidence if it's not related. It's definitely a start, somewhere to start.
We need to
I think
find.
Taeyeon,
Oh yeah, go ahead.
like kind of his face, even while describing this, he's kind of been looking around like kind of excited, like, yeah, he's here for kind of awful reason, but he's back with his friends and also still legends, so he's still kind of like, oh my god. But then I think when why mentions that, it's like, oh, and then looks at Dina. Jade also told me we're missing.
She kind of, yeah, she looks down.
Taeyeon, under the table, you feel very suddenly like Ada's hand grab yours and squeeze.
Oh.
She's not looking at you. She's looking at Bina.
I think Taeyeon gets a message, and he probably was going to keep inquiring, but it's like, okay, maybe we shouldn't.
Wire, just sort of still looking at you, Peach, says, well, finding that conduit just went up to priority number 1, I think.
Yes.
The only lead we have, and she is also looking at Bina. Just the only lead we have is Alma. She's the only one of us who knew where it was. She's been there. So we gotta find her. I've been working on it, but I will be honest, it hasn't exactly been at the forefront of my mind. But I can start up again.
Whatever you need, Wire.
She looks at Ada and says, I hear you're a programmer. Ada goes, mm-hmm. She says, gonna need your help. Yeah, that's what I'm here for. Wire says, all right. She says, I haven't heard from Becker yet, but I don't think we can afford to wait for you to get going. I've already got you a ship and everything, so we've moved some things around, and it's not the Awakener, but it'll get you where you need to go.
Nothing is.
I will say, at this point, as you all are sort of starting to, Ada has now moved to kind of Wire's corner, where Wire has set up like all these various monitors and computers, and is sort of sat down next to Wire and is sort of, Taeyeon, to you can tell that Ada is visibly restraining herself from asking a question about absolutely everything, but is being attentive as and taking in everything as Wire is sort of familiarizing her with what is to her very outdated tech, and you kind of looking around the room see as the others have started basically drawing up, like working on logistics and things like that. Jade kind of, you can see that where Bina is still just sort of sitting, not really engaging. And Jade gets up and walks over to you, Taeyeon, and says, probably a good idea to just let him work for now. I can show you around the base.
Yeah, no, please. I've read about it because this is where it started, but I've
Yeah.
never been where
Yeah.
it started.
Yeah. All right. Come on. Let's go. I'm gonna show you. Ooh. We're gonna start with let's start with the seed bank.
Oh, okay.
And the two of you exit the room, and I think that's where we're going to take our break. So, Drac, welcome back.
What a good welcome
Thank you for having me
back.
back.
Anomaly in space and time.
Yeah. So we will be right back in about 10 minutes or so. Don't go anywhere. See you in a few minutes. And we're back. Hi, welcome back, everybody. Oh boy. All right. Well,
Who will
yeah.
save us?
Who will save us, indeed?
Question.
So, let's find out. Let's continue to learn the answer to that question. When we left off, Taeon had returned along with Ada Sprix, and the two of them had informed everybody that in their time in the future, there was this bizarre anomaly in time, or maybe just in time, maybe in space time. Hard to say, really. There was
Nothing.
yeah. It was an anomaly that was
Anomaly in the pie, you know.
yeah,
The,
in
you
the
remember
pie,
that
yeah, the
analogy?
time
The
pie.
time pie.
It's like somebody put a fork in it. I'm gonna stop. All right. So, and Wire posited the idea that it might have something to do. If it had something to do with the corpse, then maybe it had something to do with the illegal conduit that they had built in secret. And so, with Alma being the only person who they know who has been there, the crew has set about, when we left off, about getting ready to go out and find her. So, we'll say the next several hours pass as basically Jade shows Taeon around the base, sort of showing you all the different places, and I mean, most of it's stuff that correct me if I'm wrong, but Taeon will probably not remember right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very much like me. If something shiny happened, like, wow, that's shiny. Wait, what were you doing?
Wait, what's happening? Where are we? Yeah. In the meantime, Ada Sprix and Wire are working together, trying to find any pieces of information they might be able to put together, to try to maybe, hopefully, find any lead on where Alma might be. While that is happening, what are the rest of you doing?
Okay. Mason's gonna run to his room and is going to send a quick text to Zaya for a quick meetup
Okay.
to touch base.
Sounds good. Yeah, she gets back to you pretty quickly. And before long, she is you hear the door chime to your apartment. The door just sort of yeah, go ahead.
Open.
Yeah, the door just and she walks in. Says, "So, exciting day, I hear."
Mason's just kind of like trying to organize his desk and trying to find things that he may have left behind, and he's like, "Where'd my hat go?" Yeah. Taeon is back.
All right.
Some bad space stuff happening. I don't completely understand it.
That
but
yeah, okay,
we are,
that sounds about right.
yeah. I'm not sure how much you got filled in, but we are going to be, we're on a mission.
Hey, that's good. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I suppose I could tank the training.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to meet you about.
Yeah.
Do are there any of the recruits you think were that could help you out a little stronger? I had my eye on a couple.
Yeah, I mean, Solar's still pretty shaky, although she's less hesitant to use her ability, which is progress. And there's uh well, there's that there's Topher, who's um a little odd, but you know who she's referring. She's referring to a very pale Nelfin man who routinely is sort of can be caught sort of muttering to himself. Um and has a tendency of doing things in threes. Uh and um she shrugs, says, I mean, those are the standouts, but not for the promising reasons.
Yeah.
You
Man.
know what? Don't worry about it. Really. I think I had some ideas today when we were watching them, and I think I should be able to handle it. Besides, I've been at this, and she like sort of like you watch as a very very subtle like blue energy glow sort of ripples across her body. She's been at this longer than you have, so
True. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
she kind of frowns. Says, "You going after her?"
That's the plan. We just have to find out how, and so many other things too.
Yeah. Well, two things. One, it's about damn time, and two, she kind of like looks over her shoulder and just says, "Is Peach going too?"
Yeah.
Probably for the best. I mean, listen, like she's done some amazing stuff here, but starting to feel like maybe being cooped up here this long is not good for anybody. Hidden at the ass end of the galaxy.
Mason chuckles. Pulls out his flask and takes a sip. Hands it.
Mm-hmm. She takes it. And I'm just saying, probably good for everybody to get out every once in a while. Takes it.
Yeah. Even these little short checkups on the outskirts can only do so much for you. It's nice. But
Yeah. No, it's good. I think give some time to maybe ease some of the tension between I don't know if you heard about what happened the other day with Peach and the General.
I think I heard something. I didn't get the full story though.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure myself mostly. I just know that they were arguing, and I mean tension's been building up between those two for months, so they don't exactly see eye to eye.
I mean, I can kind of understand that. I never really saw eye to eye with my superiors.
Yeah, officers.
No, right. They just walk in and they have the position already. They don't have to go through any of the training we did.
Yeah. They walk in, immediately think, because they went through special training, officers training, that they know better how to do our jobs than we do, but
Oh, man, that's been a long time.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, I've been meaning to talk to Peach. I'll do it.
yeah, maybe this is probably for the best then. I mean, maybe it's better to do it away from all this, away from all of her usual responsibilities.
Yeah. All of our usual responsibilities.
Yeah. Lucky you. You won't have to deal with disputes over rations anymore.
Yeah, and what's the problem with taking a few extra rations to make liquor?
Listen, if I had my say, they would be able to make as much booze as they wanted, and if they starve because of it, that's their choice. But that's why I'm not in charge of
Well.
that.
Same. Ugh. But yeah, those disputes are. I'll be happy to take a moment away.
Oh, don't worry.
from
I'll
that.
save plenty of them for when you get back.
All right. Yeah. Well, my desk is here. There's a spot there for any that you want to place there.
She
And
looks.
I'll look at them.
Yeah. Well, I guess. Good luck out there. I mean, you're not leaving right away, right?
I think we have to come up with a bit of a plan before we have a ship ready, but I think there's still a few things. I'm just here to grab a few extra pieces, just in case.
All right. Well, if you think of anything over between now and then to help me out with the newbies, let me know. Always open to suggestions.
Okay, I will.
Says, drill instructor Zaya. Now that's not one I ever thought I'd hear.
Well, welcome to your new position, and amongst other positions.
She takes the flask and just says, "To jobs we never thought we'd be doing." And just takes a drink and hands it back to you.
Oh, that's the bottom. That's the bottom. I'm gonna have to refill this.
Says, too bad nobody's making booze. And she says that kind of just over her shoulder as she walks out.
I kind of wave.
Mhm.
And Mason kind of just closes the door and kind of grabs some general things.
Okay. Sounds good. What about the rest of you? Anything in particular the rest of you want to be doing?
I think Peach wants to go have a quick talk before we leave with Sedona.
Okay, sure. Sedona can almost always be found in or around hydroponics. And if not there is a room that has been termed the aviary. A room where the cloud bells that are caught and contained have been sort of it's sort of where they've been putting them, for lack of a better term, until they can like send them, relocate them basically somewhere not this base. And actually, as it turns out, on this particular day, that's precisely where you find Sedona, is just sort of at the aviary. It is essentially a repurposed one of the science labs that has been repurposed, and this particular area was chosen because it has such like high ceilings and a big containment cylinder kind of in the center of the room that's probably about I'd say about 40 feet in diameter, where currently you can see Sedona sort of standing on, as you make your way inside, Sedona is standing at one of the rails with her arms crossed over the rails looking up, where at this cylinder where you can see a bunch of feathery, furry balls just sort of bouncing happily around the inside of the cylinder, occasionally catching updrafts and just rocketing up, and then just sort of slowly lowering down, gliding down, sort of spiral pattern around, bouncing off of each other, and just sort of, yeah. And Sedona's just sort of watching them with sort of a half smile on her face, just sort of watching them all. And she turns to look at you as you approach. Says, "Hi."
Wow, have you whipped them into shape, or are they just doing that themselves?
Oh, they're just always like this. Although they're pretty riled up today.
Good. I'm glad Bina's nightmares are doing well.
I understand why she doesn't like them, but I feel like if they weren't chewing up the wires, maybe she'd really, really like them. But they are chewing up the wires.
I think they're cute, honestly.
They really are.
I know. Well, have you felt that Taeon's arrived?
Jade told me. He sent me a message as soon as it happened, as soon as he knew. So, yeah.
Yeah. It looks like he's come back to save us from another possible time issue. Did Jade explain the anomaly?
He said something about a time anomaly, and that's pretty much it. I think he's just really excited, so he didn't really have time to explain. So,
Yeah. Well, we might be leaving here for a while. Our best bet is trying to track down Alma. And Wire and Sprix, Ada Sprix. Oh, Taeon's. Have you met Taeon's girlfriend?
no. Oh,
Oh, well, she's here.
okay.
She has wings. She's an Orzai. She's cool. But they're working on it. They're looking for a place to start. But I was hoping that you might be able to help us.
Help how? I mean, I'll do whatever I can to help you.
I know I haven't ever wanted to ask you or put pressure on you to use your abilities in a way that you're not comfortable with.
Right.
Because I trust you to know best. But this anomaly seems like it could cause a disruption that messes up time and space and causes who knows what kind of issues on top of corporate destroying everything we've built here. If you have any way to gain some kind of insight with your abilities to tell us where Alma is or see what we're up against in any way,
I
it could really help us out.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know. And even if I did, I don't know how much I could tell you. Especially if there's already something wrong with time. I wouldn't want to. I can't.
But Taeon's come back to help us fix time. What if you telling us helps us do that?
It could, but I don't see the future, Peach. I just see possibilities, and those possibilities don't tell me what comes after them. So I could see something, and maybe I try to push for it. But maybe pushing for it, then maybe it creates the opposite. Or worse, it cements it and makes what comes after it unavoidable. I don't know how any of this works still. I mean, I have a better handle on it than I did when we first met, but there's a real possibility that if I use them wrong, then I can be just as much of a problem as I am a help.
How are you ever going to start figuring out these possibilities if you don't try to use the power? Everyone else is training, figuring out how to use the powers, their powers that they've been given. I mean, or I'm not going to force you to do anything. I was just hoping that you would help us find Alma.
She kind of looks back where the cloud bells are still very, very just happily bouncing around the inside of this cylinder, and just sort of falls into contemplative silence for a bit, about a minute or so, and then says, I can try. I don't know. I don't know how much good it'll do, but I can try.
Thank you.
I'll start packing up some things. But Peach, things might get so much worse.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
I think Peach not being able to resist herself is gonna try to read her surface thoughts. Like that specific sentence is like too much, and her curiosity just kind of gets the best of her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You, This is... You know what? I'm actually going to say, in this particular instance, she's not ready. She is not prepared to resist this, so she's not going to.
Okay.
Y-
Oh, I feel so bad. Okay.
yeah, you can feel no mental defenses, other than just sort of baseline what most people have without knowing that they have them generally. And
Yeah, because she trusts you, Peach.
yeah, no, that's what exactly what I was gonna say. That she was not expecting this, and so is not warded
I'm
against
just
it.
skimming the surface. I'm not going too deep. I just
You catch not a thought.
God. Okay.
You catch an image.
Okay.
Not just an image. You hear sounds. You are suddenly standing. It looks like on some sort of space station, or a ship, maybe a large ship. And it is a flame. And you actually see yourself and Bina and Mason and Taeon standing in the corridor, and you kind of looking down at yourself, you see the sort of light greenish tinged skin of Sedona. You're seeing this all from Sedona's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
As you look down the corridor, you can see as flames kind of continue engulfing the corridor, you're seeing and hearing everybody in that passageway, like watching the group taking down what look like warped. And then you hear Mason's voice saying, "There she is." And as you look past to see what Mason is looking at, you watch yourself kind of look up and prepare and sort of brace yourself. And you see walking through the flames, you see a person, a woman, an Enzalonian woman. You see yourself walking towards you, towards the group, and you can hear your own voice as she addresses the rest of the group. Says, "All right, let's finish this." And then you're once again back into yourself. Suna says, "I don't know. It could be bad."
Well, we won't let it get that way.
Okay. She kind of glances up and says, "Guess I'm gonna have to find somebody else to take care of them. I'll go start getting ready." And
They won't be as good as you, but I'm sure they'll be well taken care of.
she nods. And there's a moment as she's walking past you where she just sort of hesitates and kind of looks up at you for a moment, and then the expression clears, and then she just keeps going.
And on a gray out, I'm gonna say just thanks.
Yeah. And she keeps going.
Yeah, and now that Sedona's gone, Peach is exposed. Like, her composure is like gone, and she's like, kind of, she's just kind of watching, like trying to kind of focus on the cloud. What are they called again?
The cloud bells.
The cloud bells.
Mhm.
Just kind of watching them, but like she is kind of starting to freak out a little bit. But mostly you just see her like kind of her eyes are starting to water and like she's almost like crying, but like not fully crying. And like trying to gather herself before she leaves.
What is Bina doing?
Not much right away. I think after that all happens, I think she has to kind of I think that's one of those like moments where it's just like, oh, big axis shift. Oh, okay. Like I think she had been in resignation for so long that like this is just how it is now. And now this thing that she's been wanting to go do for so long is like now in the forefront of everyone's minds. And I think she just kind of has to like I think she just sits in ops for a while after everyone like clears out and while people like work around her. And then she goes back down to her quarters. And underneath probably her bed or some piece of furniture, she pulls out a little like wire bin that's full of like garbage tech, and there's some like pads in there, probably some like notebook paper pads and stuff. And she puts it out onto she moves some of her other projects out of the side, and she sets it all down. And in this little basket is the remnants of her kind of I think their first few weeks here when she wasn't sleeping, was kind of losing it, was kind of in hysterics at all times, and was trying to push for going and getting Alma like immediately. And so there's like sleepless, like half-formed plans in these documents. There is like schematics of some of like getting to like what ships do I have available here. Like it's like looking at it now, I think kind of makes her a little bit nauseous. And I think she kind of just spends time looking through a little bit of it, and then is going to go out into one of the hall areas and find a recycler or like a trash chute or whatever, and she's just gonna throw the whole thing in there. And she is going to go back and pull out a fresh pad of paper fresh and pull up her terminal, and she's gonna start pulling up maps again, but with a fresh mind with 5 months different, and she's gonna start doing some prep work.
You kind of lose yourself in that for quite some time. In fact, you're not even entirely sure how long it is before you hear the door chime.
I think she doesn't hear it right away. And then is pulled out of
it's definitely it's one of those where you hear it but don't register it, and then you're like, wait a minute, did I just
wait
that? And then as you're listening, it happens again.
Oh, hello.
The door opens, and you can see standing kind of in the doorway, you see the inevitable sort of standing and says, my apologies, if this is a bad time, I can come back.
No, it always looks like this. You can come in. And
he looks around the room looking like he just noticed the like
chaos.
Yeah.
She'll get up and move a handful of things into another bin and
Yeah.
like very particularly, so like she moves some things to the side and takes another thing and puts it like she knows where everything is, but it does look like pure chaos in
Right.
here. And she goes and sits back down
Yeah.
with the things she was looking at.
He kind of looks at the space that you cleared and like doesn't quite like kind of hesitates for a moment and then just says, "Oh, I heard that we have a visitor, and that
Yeah.
there may be leads to finding your friend." Says, "Sorry, word gets around very quickly, and also
Small base.
uh, I have become very adept at analyzing all kinds of uh, minute details, changes in patterns, and deciphering some
You
kind of
are-
meaning."
You are a certified genius.
Well, yes, but there is. Oh, I see. This is. I understand. You're. Yes. Uh, well, that is. That is heartening. It's good to know. Hopefully, that will bring you some amount of peace. Speaking of which, I wanted to address our conversation from the other day, wherein I may have I confessed a few. I
Oh,
Yes. Well,
sorry. I thought you meant the hydroponics. Yes, that one. The other one. Yeah.
right. Yes. Well, I've had some time to examine and well, I'm not particularly good at expressing myself, so I'm just going to bludgeon my way through it bit by bit. Says, so before all of this, before everything happened, I was
Is he still not sat down?
no,
Is
he hasn't. He's still standing.
She's kind of like every once in a while, kind of like
Mhm. Yeah. He kind of says, "Oh, yes, of course." And he sits down. Says, "Before all of this, I wasn't exactly the most sociable of types. Some of it by choice. Just didn't really like to be around people who didn't understand me, and that was pretty damn near everyone. And some of it wasn't by choice. Some of it was well, as I said, the aforementioned no lack of understanding. Uh, People can sometimes be cruel, or when they don't understand something or someone, and for the most part, I was indifferent to it. I was busy with my studies, with my, uh, well, with equations, solving the mysteries of the universe, finding the answers to questions that people have been asking for centuries. Well, ever since I came to, I find that I understand things a lot better. Or at the very least, I can look at an equation and I can just, with just a short amount of time, I can just know it. I can know the answer. I can solve it. But it's not just that. It's also behaviors as well. Something I've never had any kind of facility in. And I find I'm understanding people a bit more than I did. And only recently decided to take that and intentionally turn it inward on myself. And what I found was that I have made for one of the first times in my life when I can say this, I have made an enormous error in my calculations. Well, you see, it's I've been very used to people and seeing how they treat me, or rather how they don't treat me, because mostly people of avoid any kind of close contact or connections, and especially with all of this happening, it's it's a lot to take in. It's new, and people are quick to form bonds, but I'm not. I'm still not one of those, and still something of an outsider, I think. But you were always there. You were always. You treated me like I was just me, and it is possible that within that, I misinterpreted uh, my own feelings on the matter. It is quite possible. In fact, I think it is likely, in fact, even certain, that perhaps I misunderstood my own feelings towards you, and for that I apologize. I know I put you on the spot, and it is something that I regret, but, uh,
Well, as someone who feels a lot of feelings all the time, my own or otherwise, feelings are weird and hard and complicated and don't really have one way through.
yes, I am getting that.
It's not an equation. They just are.
Well, with all that, I maybe not on your end, but at least on mine, I have sensed I've been feeling a certain amount of discomfort in our usual rapport, and I would like for us to take this moment and perhaps move forward now with a new understanding of exactly what is taking place here.
Well, I'm working on something if you'd like to put your calculative mind to work. Maybe you can help me triangulate some locations?
Yes, I do believe I can assist with that. Uh, let's see what you've got. And he sits down, kind
And
of like
she'll
pulls in. Yeah.
She'll swing around and bring a bunch of pull out, spread out, and kind of explain what she's doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the two of you just sort of set to work, starting to like piece together.
Last known location,
Yeah.
all of the known facilities. Like, if you're gonna do this XYZ, like, what's the probability of? And she'll just kind
Mhm.
of start talking through all that stuff. with him.
Yeah. All right. So we will then take that opportunity to cut over to Taeon and Jade as the two of you are finishing up. You enter into a huge room, kind of in the center of the base. It's less of a room, and it looks very much like what kind of like a food court in a mall would look like, where it's just sort of this big sort of open space with small, not exactly buildings and not exactly rooms, just sort of, um, yeah, just sort of like separations where there are a variety of, at the moment, a lot of them are being used for storage, where you can see enormous crates in them. But you can see one of them very clearly where there are people inside clearly preparing food. And in front of that one in particular are a whole host of chairs and tables. Um, Cypher Unlimited, welcome. Thank you so much for the raid. Hey guys. All right. So yeah, so you and so that's kind of to one side you're seeing all that, and you're seeing as you look up toward in that direction, you can see a window high up towards the ceiling, um that looks into ops where you can currently see people sort of going about their business and planning. Um to the other direction, there are these huge floor to ceiling windows that look out over the mountain as it slopes down to the snowfields below. Um, and as you're walking in, Jade just sort of gestures around and he says, "This is the atrium. This is where we come for to eat. That's the mess hall over there. Well, we call it the mess hall, but there's not really any. I mean, it's not really a hall. It's kind of part of the rest of it. Anyway, yeah,
It does the job.
yeah, exactly.
Again, atrium, like the heart of the base.
Yeah, something like yeah, exactly. This is kind of the. I mean, one day, Wire says that if that if we manage to get things moving, this might be sort of this will kind of be the heart of any kind of trade or commerce if we can get that far. Right now, the resistance is, I mean, we're still pretty small. We're just trying to survive, but one day maybe if we get past that, this could be a trading hub. I mean, there's all these places that look like they could easily be storefronts and things like that. So,
Well, I've never been here, but I've got good sources that say that the resistance does become more than just a group of people trying to survive.
well, that's good to know. And sometimes, I mean, it already kind of feels like it. Sometimes it doesn't though. But yeah, maybe this will change things. Now that, I mean, I've been saying to everybody for weeks, well, mostly to Mason, that I just miss when it was just us on Awakener, flying around the stars, and it just feels like ever since we lost that, we lost our center.
There's not really quite anything like just being with your squad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was a very military term for it, but
Well, gets the job done.
yeah. So how long has it been since I
Let's see.
came?
Well, we've been here for about a little over almost 6 months, and we came here just a little bit after you left. So about just almost 6 months.
Okay, so it's been
Wait,
okay.
I
Well,
didn't.
it's been 2 years for me.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I didn't even think
Yeah.
to ask. I didn't even think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't have the same tech that sent me here the first time. It was kind of scorched, and that trip was definitely the last trip that piece of tech was gonna
Yeah.
go on. So I kind of had to. Ada and a few friends of mine kind of did what they could with the scraps, but I had to do the rest.
Whoa. Wait. So you were like a time engine?
Yeah, but not as cool. We noticed this for me just under 2 years ago, but I didn't have the energy or really the control over my powers to just jump. So again, taps the core. I kind of had to just collect the residual energy that comes off of me for about 2 years before I had enough
Whoa.
to make the jump.
Whoa.
Especially with Ada, I think it would have been shorter, but I don't want to leave Ada. I didn't want to leave.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Well, I'm glad you brought her. I'm excited to get to know her.
She seems to be loving the place. Bina and Ada seem to be getting along amazingly.
That's good. You can see his face kind of like fall a little bit. He says, Bina's had a really hard time of things lately. I mean, I don't know. You read my messages a little bit, right?
Yeah. I think I should be up to date. I don't have access to all of them because there's a lot. And even our computers don't seem to be able to churn them all out at once.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, that's it's good, I think. There's some Orzai here, but not a lot, and I think maybe having Ada around will be helpful to Bina.
I hope so. And like his face kind of drops a little bit as well. I kind of forgot how much, or I didn't consider how much the Alma situation would have affected her.
Yeah, things are really different since you were last here. We don't really see each other that often anymore. I mean, from time to time, Mason and I have lunch pretty regularly, but otherwise, it's kind of see you when we see you.
Well, on the plus side, we're going to be stuck on a ship together.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
kind of no choice but to see each other.
That's true. I'm hoping it'll I'm hoping it's what we need. Let me show you. Oh no, we lost
Oh
Freeman.
no.
Oh,
Oh, no.
man.
Okay.
He'll be back.
Do we want to go to a BRB real
Oh.
quick? Oh,
Oh,
we're gonna have to rearrange.
Right, we'll have to rearrange everything.
yeah.
You know what?
Do you want to do the turn camera off thing?
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
Yeah. Let's. We're gonna.
Do you wanna go to a BRB?
Yeah, we're gonna go to the BRB for a second. We'll be back in a second.
Okay.
All right, we're back.
There's a slight blip in space.
Yeah, there's a weird
Yes.
anomaly.
The anomalies,
It got
There's
us.
there's some radiation up there.
The conversation with Sedona, just
Yeah. Yeah. So Jade says, "Let me show you the. Well, technically, I probably am not allowed to take you there, but I'm gonna do it anyway. But I'm gonna take you to the generator room because it's really cool. It's
Ooh.
it's geothermal, and then there's all these capacitor banks where it just stores. Here, let's just go. I'll show you. And
Yeah, sure. Even as he's talking, like Taylor is like, I don't get it, but you're excited, so I'm excited.
All right. With that, I think we will cut to sometime later. As all of you have kind of come back together after your sort of being scattered. Eventually, I would say that the Inevitable joins Ada Sprix and Wire at Bina's recommendation, and you
Brings Bina research.
Yeah, brings Bina research.
They are probably better at searching for things, but she has some weird. Bina has her weird creative way of thinking of things. So all of the shit she brought is might not be helpful at all, but at least it's stuff they probably hadn't been looking into.
Yeah. So, as you are, you're all kind of have come back together now and are kind of in the situation room up in ops, and with the three kind of in the corner, working on the program, you can hear Wire very clearly going, "This actually is going much faster than I thought," and Ada going, "Oh, absolutely." She says, "Honestly, I knew what to expect when we came back here, but your systems are very slow. No offense." And yeah, they're sort of working on stuff. And so as they're working, you're seeing projected on the holo table in front of you, there is an image of a ship. Not a particularly large ship, unfortunately. It is of originally this is a ship that is of Skoru design, which means that it has a very sort of elongated, almost bird-like appearance to it. And it is the ship that Wire has procured from what little fleet the Resistance has at the moment. It is much smaller than Awakener. It's the kind of ship that Bina probably has seen before, probably had not had much cause to work on them, as Skoru tend to be pretty particular about their own ships. They like often citing their like precise calibrations that need to be done in order to like keep them going, so they tend not to trust any non-Skoru crew to handle them. But from Bina's little experience with them, you know that it's going to be pretty tight quarters in there. Like, it's fine enough just sort of existing there, but living on that ship together is probably not going to be the most comfortable.
Does it have a name?
It has a name in this in Skorin. that ultimately the best translation of it means the solar flyer.
Excellent.
Oh, cute.
But yeah. Yeah, so right now what you're looking at is just essentially like the ship's specs. It is equipped with a relatively it's not the newest FTL drive, but it is FTL capable. It's not going to be anywhere near as quiet as Awakener was, as it's not equipped with any kind of silent running mode or anything like that. Not designed for any kind of stealth capabilities. However, it is primarily intended as a science and survey vessel, intended for a small crew to go on short-range survey missions with. Generally designed for some of the more hazardous regions of space near the Skoru homeworld. So as far as armor plating goes, it's a pretty sturdy ship. It's equipped with pretty decent shielding that is good for keeping away like moderate amounts of any kind of laser fire or sort of radiation. So in general, it's sufficient is the best way to describe it. It is not, however, equipped with any kind of weaponry. Yeah.
I think Bina is absolutely, since they've sat down, has been like bouncing her heel the whole time, like has just fully like without actually radiating nervous energy, is visibly radiating nervous energy,
Mhm.
but is fully just like absorbing, just I think out of habit, even just absorbing info about a ship, ship specs.
Yeah. There is a list, a personnel list, Peach, that you're holding, that currently has available available crew to bring on this mission, that you're kind of going over. It has basically on it all of the original crew of Awakener, as potential candidates. Chances are, you would likely have enough room to bring everybody on that list, assuming that they were able to. It'd be tight, since most of the bunking situation is exactly that. It's like bunks. It's not rooms. But otherwise, it looks like beyond that, you probably won't have too much room.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone on the crew of Awakener would want to come. So I think they're definitely all like coming unless they express that they don't want to.
Sure.
I think Taeyeon's probably like trying to. He's probably on his like tippy toes, trying to look at the list. Like, is Ada on that list? Can Ada come?
Yeah, and I think if I could put a good word in for her with myself, she can come.
Thank you.
How tall? Tan's like what, like 5'5"?
Yeah.
Yeah, still like these two almost a foot or more shorter than Peach.
Yeah.
Little guys.
I'll say over the course of the next couple of hours, given that there's not really much else for you to be doing, you can kind of contact the people on that list, and you get immediate replies from like Jade, who is in the room with you, and Sedona, of course. However, both Abriel and Patch say, like,
Oh, Abriel shouldn't come.
Yeah.
I don't think I would. I forgot that Abriel was on that list.
Yeah.
I would not invite her to come because she's the doctor
Right.
on this
I mean,
facility.
there are other medical personnel, but yes, she is kind of the chief medical officer.
Yeah.
So yeah, she would decline. Patch gives a response that is, in essence, maybe next time.
Okay. The polite no.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
essentially. Yeah.
I want to go and I
What
want
if
to
I was
go.
just like being a staying? She doesn't want to go.
And it's like, you know what? I know I came to like save everything, but like now that I'm here, I kind of just want to chill.
Just,
like
hung
we
out.
all go and then we have to cut back to the base every hour and a half.
Getting lunch.
Yeah. Mina's just sitting there, just catching up on her reading, just.
I do want to go in person if there's time between kind of pouring over plans and ask Vix
Sure.
what he wants to do.
Okay.
Because he would
Wait,
be
I
an
just realized-
asset, but he would be like a huge asset. But if it's like too much for him, we shouldn't bring him,
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
So might like not being around so many people.
yeah.
Yeah. So, you actually don't find him in his room. You find him.
Good for you, I say to the empty room.
But you do find him in another one of the places where you definitely expect to find him, which is in the science facilities.
Mhm.
Not in the same chamber that the artifact is being kept, but
Good.
but in one of the other research labs, actually with Abriel, who is currently, when you walk in, she is currently in the middle of what looks like compiling data. So she like looks up and nods and then goes right back to what she's doing. And Vix is just sort of sitting in the corner, just sort of sitting in the chair, just sort of stretching and just
Working hard.
says, "Oh, hey," he says, "Yeah, the doc over there is just compiling our latest findings, which are mostly nothing. So yeah, it's been a busy day."
Well, if you want something else to do, something a little bit more exciting, we are going on a search and rescue mission.
Search and rescue for for
Yeah. We're going to find Alma.
right. Yeah. And you, yeah.
I was wondering if you'd like to come with us.
Oh, I mean, do you think that's a good idea? I mean, is everybody going to be okay with that?
Well, I'm okay with it. And they can't really, I'm a little bossy. I don't know if you noticed.
In a couple 100 years or so together, yeah. I mean, I think I might have picked up on that a little bit.
Look, I don't want you to come if it's going to be too much for you, if you don't think it's a good idea, but it'd be nice to have you watching my back. And you're pretty good in a fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're not up for it, you don't have to come. You can stay here on this base. You can compile data.
Stop. You're making that sound too fun. I mean, kind of looks past you, says, "What do you think, Doc? I mean, do you need me for any of this?" And she looks up and goes, I can, yeah, no, I mean, it's like you said, it's mostly nothing." And he goes, "Well, I mean, that's basically a doctor's note, right? That's
Exactly. You're cleared.
yeah. It's yeah, sure. Okay.
If it's too much, you can always stay on the ship.
Yeah, something tells me Mason wouldn't leave me alone on a ship.
We'll work on it. We don't know how far we're gonna have to go. We might be on the ship for a while.
Yeah. What's that thing you were telling me about, Doc? Exposure therapy?
Does April respond at all to that?
Not at all. She does.
She's just silent.
You get the impression that their dynamic seems to be one where he is constantly needling her.
Mhm.
And
It's a family trait.
yeah, it's and she has kind of her coping mechanism has become just sort of not engaging. Says, yeah, sure. I was gonna say I would get my stuff, but I'm wearing most of what I own, so.
Awesome. Well, do you want to go to command center?
Oh, right now. You know, I was just thinking I haven't had enough judgmental stares today, so yes, I'm definitely in.
It's okay. It's not everybody. It's just some of us. We'll ease you into it.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
All right. Well, I'm in. Let's go.
Okay. And like, this is probably the most excited Peach has been in a really long time. So yeah, like not quite skipping down the hallways, but like it's close.
Oh, Vix is like he like fully like loops like, and he's
okay. I'll skip with him.
He's skipping very like
he can feel you, man.
Yeah.
He knows what you.
Oh yeah, sure.
And you can tell that he's mostly doing
Not used to that yet.
He's mostly doing it as just sort of like making a scene like he likes to do, being obnoxious, and yeah, basically just sort of skipping down the hall at certain points, just like at random passerby, just going, hey, we're going on an adventure, and then like just.
Oh, it's so good to see you being your old self.
He kind of his smile sort of falters a little bit at that, and then just says, sometimes pretending is the best way to get back to normal. So anyway,
yeah.
He's like, it'll be just, he says, and then he goes kind of back to being exuberant again. Just, it'll be like a family picnic, family outing, you know? We can get a basket, we can get wine and everything. It'll be great. No, it'll be perfect. We can even see if maybe we can get Bina to lecture us like Mom used to do. It'll be just like when we were growing up.
Ooh, we don't. Maybe just us. Maybe just the our version of the family gathering. We don't need. Yeah, that's all we need.
And he looks at you and does like a spot on impersonation of of your mother's tone, where he says, "You need to start putting the family first, Belle."
Oh, don't call me that.
And he just sort of,
I haven't heard that.
He just shoulders into you and just says, all right, let's go.
Oh man, the nice thing about being a intergalactic terrorist, I haven't talked to her in a while.
Yeah. Probably not gonna get invited to any family gatherings anytime soon.
Let's hope not. And we're just gonna go ahead and walk into the like skipping in.
Yeah. You'll turn to see these two clowns entering the
clown emoji.
The recluse and someone who's running this shit comes skipping into.
Yeah. He walks into the room, sort of seems to feel out the situation, makes brief eye contact with Mason. Just goes,
kind of wave.
Hey, so I hear we're going on a mission.
Oh yeah, Vix is coming with us.
Bean is genuinely excited by this.
Taylor's like, oh, okay. Nice to meet you, Vix.
Yeah, I'm about to say.
He goes,
Taeyeon, you.
Yeah, we've actually met before, kind of. It was during a time when I was kind of a little bit trying to kill everybody. He says, just imagine tactical gear and a helmet and maybe a sword and. Yeah.
Taylor kind of points and then looks at everyone else like,
I get that a lot.
Yep.
Well, Taeyeon, from your end, it's really been, many years, so it's really rehashing old stuff at this point. So
Wait, no.
It's a long story.
I'll explain.
Is this like a thing you do?
Killing people? No, not lately.
No, not you. And I turn to everyone else like, do you just like let everyone join? April ratted you out, and now she's on the team. This guy tried to kill us, and now he's on the team. Is this like a?
Well, you see, Abra was being blackmailed and Vix was being mind controlled. So we like to find the good in people.
And he's also my brother.
That too.
You can see the family resemblance, right?
No,
And I
yeah.
put my face up. I think I'm a little taller. I'm a little taller than Vix, I think. So it's like,
And
And just like, no, yeah, no, I see the resemblance, but
Yeah, it's
We
my
I mean,
have
it's
poor
working.
self-preservation, generally as a whole.
it's. I guess I'll be honest, not how I would run my squadron, but I'm guess I'm here in yours, so I can't. I just like he just turns to Vix and just goes, "Got my eyes on you."
Like, he just eye twitches a little bit at that sentence,
Yeah.
but doesn't say anything.
he just
Pina elbows Vix a little
Yeah,
bit.
he just shrugs
just
and
like ribs
says-
him a little bit.
I get it. It's not really anything I can say. I don't know. Guess we just got to do the best we can to. And he says this not looking at Taeyeon. He says this look as he's talking to you, Taeyeon, but he's looking at Mason. He says, "Guess we just got to do the best we can to live with each other."
Yeah, whatever. And Taeyeon just walks on over and just goes back to like looking at any of the like if you're looking at holograms of the schematic. He has no idea what he's looking at, but he's just like, I'm gonna go and pretend busy because I don't want to talk to him.
All right. So, as this day kind of turns into sort of a late night, so is there anything in particular anybody wanted to do?
Bina just throws herself into all of it.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
she is going to be vibrating out of her carapace by the end of all of this because she wants to fucking go,
Yeah.
but we can't yet. So she's just doing everything she can, like rereading documents she read 4 hours ago, like memorizing stuff, like looking at maps, trying to like listen to what Wire and Adis Bricks are talking about, and like just trying to be got 4 hours, we're covering all of our bases. Like,
Yeah.
she's kind of frantically information gathering.
Okay. Then I'll say,
Okay, I'm gonna make I'll have a short, brief
Sure.
moment where I have 2 cups of coffee,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna walk up to Vix.
Yeah. He's mostly kind of been sitting kind of a little ways away from everybody, kind of towards the end of the the table, kind of away from where everybody else kind of is heads together working, and giving input as it is asked, but mostly just sort of hanging out. He looks up at you as you approach.
I kind of just hand coffee.
He looks at it and takes it. Thanks.
You know, you sent me on quite a wild goose chase. Looking for you, I mean.
Right. Well, if it's any consolation, wasn't exactly my choice.
No, it wasn't. It was none of our choices to be here. And I've heard in the past, I've heard quite a lot of good things about you in the past months. So
They're mostly lies. He just takes a sip and kind of smiles at you, then realizes that you're not smiling, and then just says, "Yeah."
welcome to the team.
Just like that.
I don't understand what you went through, and what I can't imagine what you went through. But it's your sister, Peach. She had me look for you, and I made that priority. I'm not going to pretend I understand, like I said, about any of this mind washing thing, but you're here now and you've put in some really good work to undo that. There's something about you that's different.
I would like to think
So,
so.
yes, welcome to the team.
Well, thanks. I would say I won't let you down, but every single other time I've said that in my life, it ended up not being true. So I'll say instead, I guess, I will give it everything I've got.
Yeah, you will.
This is all
And then
happening in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, Fremont, go.
No, I have no, just sipping coffee.
I was gonna say then Vix gets the emotional equivalent of like a shoulder bump
Mhm.
from being she doesn't look up. She doesn't want to. He's clearly having, but whatever he was feeling, I'm sure she could feel from across the room. Like, and if she wasn't listening before, I think that would have gotten her attention. But she probably tuned in for this back
Yeah.
half of that conversation, and he just gets the non-verbal, non-physical, no eye contact, emotional equivalent of a
Mhm.
shoulder bump.
Yeah.
And then Mason kind of just like turns and walks.
Ada at this point jumps up and says, That's it. That's it right there." And she's like turns and looks at everybody, as everybody very startled, like she senses everybody in the room very suddenly startled and tuned in. She says, "Oh, sorry, not like it. I mean it, but." And Wire just sort of puts out a hand and just says, "It's the closest thing that we've come to a lead for a while. It looks like a ship matching Awakener's description passed through a checkpoint about 4 months ago. 4 months ago. And yes, you heard that right. That is after the last time we saw it. I've already uploaded the coordinates in the into the computer of your ship, the Solar Flyer, and so you're ready to go whenever."
Bina stands up, and then when no one else does, like stands up, like chair squeal, and then when no one else does, she sits back down to keep listening.
Wire looks at you and says, "It's here," and she pulls up like the display. And as you are seeing the display of the kind of the galaxy map, it starts kind of zeroing in, pinpointing. And Bina, you recognize the conduit because it's the conduit that is right next to Station 23. Wire points to it and says, "Went through here about 4 months ago. That's the closest thing we have to a lead."
If they landed on 23, I know someone who will tell me.
All right. Guess you're all ready then. I suggest a good night's sleep, but I also know who I'm talking to. With that, we will go ahead and cut to we'll say probably it takes another probably 2 days to get everything fully organized with supplies and equipment and things like that, and just sort of making logistical arrangements. As predicted, very predictably, I should say, General Antos is not pleased with the fact that you're leaving, but he also doesn't raise any objections.
How does he act when I like see him?
He gives you sort of like a very like searching look, but his expression is mostly unreadable.
Okay.
It's definitely not the open disdain that you're used to seeing, but you're not sure what this is or if it's better.
Oh, good. Okay. I was just wondering.
He looks at you and just says, as basically you're doing this, having this briefing, he looks at you and just says, "All right, understood. Says, we'll hold tight as best we can." Says,
Good.
still haven't heard anything back from Revorza, although I've seen her a few times. Not exactly one for checking in, so
I'm sure she'll make it known when she has any relevant information.
yeah, I'm sure she will. Well, good luck.
Thanks. Try to hold down the fort while I'm gone.
Can do. And without another word, he turns away. We'll say that this interaction is sort of like taking place like in the hangar bay.
You could cut the tension like with a knife.
Yeah. We'll say this interaction is taking place in the hangar bay. As you are all like basically like the last. Bina, you're watching as the last of the supplies are being loaded on.
She's pacing.
Yeah.
She's been pacing the whole time for many reasons, because we're actually doing this, but also because of what she's about to do.
At one point, Vix, who is just kind of watching you, just sort of gets up and starts pacing behind you. Just sort of like, yeah.
God, so annoying.
And I think just because this is Taeyeon, Taeyeon probably see Vix join in with Bina, like he's just I'm gonna like pace with like behind Vix. He's behind Bina.
We're walking in circles around the hangar bay.
I'm just gonna turn to Mason and be like, are they like racing or?
I don't think.
I mean, we're about to be stuck on a ship for a while. Might as well get all the energy out.
Fair enough.
I don't think Bina notices right away.
Yeah, when you do notice, Vix is like not looking at you at all. He just has his face screwed up in an expression of concentration, of like deep concentration, just
mimicking her, right?
But he's like not looking at you. And at one point, as you notice, and then you make eye contact, he looks at you and goes.
She starts walking backwards, and she's walking in her circle. She's continuing in her circle, but she's walking backwards, staring at him.
Yeah, and he just continues going on. At one point, turning to Taeyeon and going, and then just continues walking.
I'm gonna turn back to Mason and say, "Now imagine this, but for hundreds of years."
I'm very sorry.
Before long, you find yourselves all strapped in and ready to go. The cockpit of this ship is significantly smaller than Awakener's. It is set up to just have sort of the pilot and co-pilot seat, and anybody else in there would have to literally be standing in the doorway. But just beyond that, there's kind of a short, like kind of corridor that almost looks like a drop shuttle on the inside with like seats on along the walls facing each other, and then beyond that is sort of like the like a small like a smallish galley, and then sort of a bunk room, and then on the other side of the hallway is like where what would have been scientific instrumentation and whatever, which is still there, but it's most of it is offline at the moment. And then the engine room just like right at the back. So it's very tight quarters. It is a small ship. And
Who's my co-pilot? Who's up here with me?
actually Jade kind of like immediately just kind of like settles himself in.
Good.
And he looks at you, says, I know it's been a while, but he kind of looks at the controls, says, you mind if I take her out?
She smiles a little bit.
Mhm.
Says,
He says, he kind of flexes and kind of cracks his knuckles, and then says, I've been practicing in the simulators on in my spare time.
Cute.
He says, all right, all pre-flight checks green. Landing gear unlocked. Repulsors online. All systems nominal.
all systems nominal.
He nods. And
Bina is probably at this point visibly shaking.
Mhm.
Like I think she's got two of her hands are hanging like in between her knees on the seat, like just vice gripping the fabric a little bit, and is I think a little bit relieved that Jade wanted to
yeah,
get us off ground.
you take just a quick second flipping the switch that transfers control to the co-pilot station, and he detaches the yoke basically and starts and kind of gently pulls up on it, and you can feel the ship sort of lurch a little bit and start to kind of pull up. He says, okay, all right. He says, and you what? It's very sudden. Like those of you who are like strapped in, kind of in the back, suddenly feel the ship just sort of lurch very quickly up into the air. Your stomachs just drop, and then it just sort of shudders for a moment and stabilizes. And Jade goes, you hear him call from up ahead. Says, sorry, everything's fine. Just forgot to turn off the stabilizers, the atmospheric stabilizers. And he says, all right. And he flips on the comms and says, Control, this is the Solar Flyer. Requesting confirmation for takeoff. There is a moment as you're sort of all just sitting there, waiting on the operator. And oh, hold on. I'm looking for it. I thought I was going to find it quickly.
How many times do you think Jade has practiced that line?
So
many.
He dreams about it. He says it in the bathroom mirror when he's brushing his teeth. So that he's like,
Like, control, permission to. No, not.
Wait.
No, that
little bit more
wasn't cool
It's
enough.
not.
After
be confident.
after just about 30 seconds or so, you just hear the response. Solar Flyer, this is Control. You're clear to take off. And Jade goes, copy that. And you see as he pulls back gently on the yoke, and then kind of pushes forward as the hangar bay doors open, and the ship takes off gently out of the opening, and then picks up speed as it rockets up into the atmosphere.
Bina, very tentatively, very delayed, puts two of her hands on the controls in front of her and gets ready to fly for the first time in 6 months.
With that, I think we will call it.
Yeah.
Ow. Oh my.
We're coming for you, Alma.
Hang tight.
Thank God.
All right.
Thank the space gods.
Well, Drac, welcome back.
Yeah.
For those of you who may have missed it early on, Drac has been. We have announced Drac as our as a permanent cast member on Infinite Horizon. So
Yeah, we have.
yeah, I'm so excited. I've been like vibrating this whole week.
I know.
Like,
You don't understand.
Yeah.
We
I've
hope you
been
all enjoyed the
counting on the
surprise.
hours.
Mhm.
Oh my god.
Mhm. Oh man.
Welcome back to Spain.
All right.
End time.
All right. So, just to quickly recap some of the stuff that we talked about at the beginning of the stream. Hopefully, those of you who are gonna be going back on VOD Squad will see it, but I'll just give a quick overview. This week we have Ramblemancy. Olivia will be our guest as we pitch terrible ideas for shows and movies. It's gonna be
Ugh,
so
can't wait
fun.
to see what awful
Oh,
stuff
it's
we
gonna be
say.
the worst. I'm so excited. So we'll be doing that.
man.
Next week, unfortunately, after this episode, next week there will not be.
I forgot.
Oh, damn
There will
it!
not be an episode of Infinite
Oh.
Horizon because holidays
and I'm moving.
and yeah.
Yeah.
And but we will have Ramblemancy, where we will have Ancient Albatross or Al from Cypher Unlimited, who was here earlier. Thank you for the gifted subs, by the way, Al. Al will be with us. We'll be talking about a whole bunch of nerdy stuff. It'll be great. Video games, video gaming, streaming, all that sort of stuff. We'll be talking with Al. And then after next week, we'll go back to a normal schedule until I believe December 20th, the week of the 20th, where we will go dark for the holidays, and come back the week of the 3rd. In case you missed it at the beginning, we also announced that we are going to be having a new D&D show that is coming. It'll be coming to Tuesday afternoons, 3:30 Pacific time, right here on Rule of Lore. It'll be. I'm very excited. It's an brand new cast, all LGBTQ plus cast. I'm very excited.
There's some great players.
Some really, really,
I saw some.
yeah.
They're amazing.
There's some really cool people in there. So that'll be a thing that will be coming soon. Stay tuned for more specific info on that as we roll out cast announcements, character art, all that stuff, as well as we start talking about moving into December. We'll start sending out information about the kind of prologue episodes. The DM has been referring to them as session 0.5s. So you'll get to know a few of the cast at a time and their characters. So just be on the lookout for that stuff. As always, thank you for being here. Those of you who are subscribed, thank you. You're a big part of the reason that we can do most of the stuff that we are doing. It helps immensely. And as a thank you for that, those of you who are subscribed actually here on Twitch, if you are connected to the Discord, you actually also do get access to our lowest tier Patreon rewards, which if you're into this show, you're gonna want to do, because there are supplemental journal entries from some of the player characters and even one of the NPCs. So those are things that you can get on there.
They're all so good.
Yeah. So
Perhaps we're gonna have to get a Taeyeon journal in there at some point.
Perhaps.
Oh,
but yeah.
I'm very down for
After
that.
after he sleeps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Rest first.
Thing is, I've hit that second.
Oh,
one.
no.
Like, fuck it, let's go for another 3 hours.
No.
No.
But yeah, and yeah, so and of course, you can simply subscribe to us on Patreon, where you can get access to not only the first couple of tiers, but also potentially the world building tier, where we actually do some world building once a month for this very show. And the whole of the Resistance base was created by our patrons, who came in at that level, which is excellent, and I love it so much. And
I actually subscribed on Patreon.
I
as
know,
well,
I saw.
last
I'm
week.
very excited. So yeah, so that that's something that you can do if you want to catch up on the VODs, but you don't like hanging out on Twitch for VODs. You can always catch us on YouTube. The latest episode always goes up on YouTube on Fridays, the Friday immediately following the episode. So the day after tomorrow, it'll be up on YouTube, and you can catch it there, as well as previous episodes and past shows, like It Came From the Loop, GM'd by our very own Caitlin Bruder. I gestured over here, but on the screen, you're like kind of down there. Anyway, yeah. So, and of course, it is also available on podcast. So, yeah, you can basically where at your favorite podcast outlet, you can get that. So, I'll turn it over because I know a couple of you have some stuff that you're doing.
Oh yeah, I do
Yeah,
stuff.
you do stuff. I'm talking about you.
I do stuff. So you, when I am not here on Rule of Lore going to space with my beautiful, lovely crew, you can catch me on Sundays at 5 p.m. Pacific on Q Times, where I play a different superpowered character on Earth, on alternate reality Earth. I have fire powers. It's fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Drac, what you got?
Oh,
I know you have a lot.
ooh. Well,
Feel free if you are.
I'm
Feel
Jack.
free to just take your pick and choose. If you don't feel like going through the whole list, I can totally understand.
I mean, I'll
Go
go
for it.
through
Yeah,
it. I've
absolutely.
been practicing.
Go for it.
Hi, I'm Draconics, but going by Drac for short because it's fastest to say and easier to spell. You can find me on Twitter at Draconics. That's DRAKONIQUES. I'm all over the place when it comes to streaming. Every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, you can find me on Little Red Dot's channel playing a Sourceforge campaign. It's basically a talent show where your life is also on the line. On Wednesdays from 6 p.m. Eastern to 9 p.m. Eastern, you can find me on Counter Roleplay in an iHunt campaign called Hustle and Claw. It's basically millennials smushed together with monster hunters. Immediately after that, you can find me here playing Tail, a time traveling lizard boy. Every other Thursday, you can find me on Script the Bars channel. I'm playing a D&D campaign where I play a Warforged monk who has an astral being attached to them because I'm just gonna be honest, it's a JoJo reference. He's got a stand. On Saturdays, 6 p.m. Eastern to 9 p.m. Eastern, you can find me on Chromatic Chimera playing a Burnback campaign where I play 100,000 bugs who are telepathically linked, and I'm the captain of my ship, but none of my crew listen to me. So this Friday, I'm going to be doing let me check. It's like, I don't remember. I'm going to be in is it a charity stream? No, it's not. I'm going to be guesting on on Rolling with Lag. I'm going to be playing a mask campaign. Have no idea what character I'm going to be playing.
Ooh.
I don't know. I'm going to figure that out. But yeah, that's going to be fun. That's going to be on at 4 p.m. Eastern on Friday from 4 to 7. I'm also the co-founder and events organizer of Friends Who Roll Dice, and we're organizing a charity event for the month of December. We're raising money for the disaster relief efforts in the Philippines, because I don't know if you heard about it, but they've been recently hit by, I think, 6 or 7 typhoons within the last few months. One of them being the biggest ever recorded in history. So we thought we might as well bring a bunch of awesome people to play games and raise money for a good cause. And that's everything I'm doing. Yeah.
Cool. Olivia Freeman, have anything you want to just announce or say or whatever?
No,
Just for fun.
Just for fun, yeah. You
maybe soon, but not
That's
this
right.
week.
You have a soon maybe a TBD, TBA,
Soon.
something like that.
Yeah, TBA.
Oh
TBA.
man, no. But since March, I lost 35 pounds,
Hey.
baby.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Congrats.
All
Just
sorts of announcements are
As a
good.
random aside to nothing to do with any
I
of
mean,
what
I
we're
think that's
talking
great.
Hell yeah. All right, everybody. I think we're gonna call it there. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here. We're so glad that y'all are still so invested and interested in our space show, and we thank you very much for being here. And thank you, VOD Squad. We love you too. So yeah, we will see you hopefully on Friday for some terrible pitches on Ramblemancy. And
Nice.
Olivia and I will be bullying each other
Mhm.
about mostly about
Probably pretty viciously.
yeah, mostly about Olivia's terrible opinions about Lost, but
As
Lost is
themselves instead of
awful,
as
and
their
yeah,
I'm willing
characters.
to.
Yeah.
John
Instead of
and I
fictional
Yeah.
siblings.
Didn't even think about
yeah,
that.
that's true.
John and I will just be referees.
There you go. Yeah, perfect. So,
You want a nice,
Uh,
clean, fat guy, okay?
gloves. All right. Gloves out. All right. So yeah. So we'll hopefully see you then. But if not, we will see you the next time you decide to come roll with us. Good night and good zone,
Good night,
everybody.
everybody.
Bye.